On April 23, 2019, Vivian Sterling's 30th birthday, she was diagnosed with stomach cancer. Mrs. Blackwood, your stomach cancer is already in the advanced stages. If treated immediately, there might still be a chance to save you. Otherwise, 2 years ago, she had angered her father into undergoing surgery, and he died under the knife. Since then, she had developed a traumatic shadow regarding operating rooms. The mere thought of surgery made her feel like she couldn't breathe. Escaping from the hospital, Vivian still couldn't believe her life had started its countdown. Passing by the riverside, she struggled to climb onto the railing, facing the turbulent water, swinging her legs. She steadied her breathing, took her phone out of her pocket, and pressed Ethan Blackwood's name. "Little E, are you coming home for dinner tonight? Today is my birthday. I'll make your favorite dishes, okay?" A faint voice came from the other side. It sounded like a young, pretty girl. She didn't get angry, she just waited quietly. After a long while, Ethan answered coldly, "I'm not coming back. I have a social engagement tonight." "All right, little E. You stay busy." She hung up the phone, looking desolate as she gazed at the river's surface. 4 years of marriage. She once thought she had married for love. Today, she suddenly understood. I actually lost my little E a long time ago. But she still couldn't bear to let go of Ethan. She hoped that in her final days, this man could pretend to love her. Ethan was 6 years younger than her. If she really died, she should arrange his future for him. A future that would no longer include her. The river wind turned cold. She held the railing to get down and drove to the supermarket. In the produce section, she hunched her back, lowered her head, weighed a small pumpkin, and carefully compared prices before finally making a decision. "Ethan, look at that matron in front of us. She hesitates so long just choosing a pumpkin. She definitely doesn't love her husband." A delicate, coquettish voice emerged from behind. "Look at me, choosing beef and seafood for you, always picking the best." Ethan. Could it be her little E? MMH. Ethan's voice, how could she not recognize it? His social engagement was accompanying his mistress. Her hand gripping the pumpkin suddenly tightened, her fingernails digging into the pumpkin's skin, causing piercing pain. She stood rooted to the spot, imagining the young, fresh girl leaning into the embrace of the equally handsome and young Ethan. Only she had grown old. Only she had become a matron. A frumpy housewife whose life was filled only with firewood, rice, oil, salt, sauce, vinegar, and tea. Only she had lost little E, not knowing what possessed her. She stood there properly. But the girl insisted on squeezing past her. Knowing full well that Ethan and the mistress were behind her, did she have to appear so dejected and gray in their eyes? She had her pride too, even if she had loved Ethan so much over the years that she had forgotten it. Lily Green recognized her and deliberately stepped on her foot, yet her face looked innocent. "Ethan, why are matrons these days so domineering? She can't afford it herself, yet she occupies the spot and won't let others choose." Wasn't this obviously mocking her for not being able to keep Ethan yet refusing to divorce? Letting go of the pumpkin, she saw her bleeding index finger and suddenly felt pain. The fingers are linked to the heart. She hurt everywhere. "Let's go." Ethan recognized Vivian, his gaze very faint. Why bother arguing with a matron? Lily was unwilling to let it go and leaned against his chest. "I'm not trying to argue with the matron, Ethan. I just want to cook a meal for you. Today is the first anniversary of our meeting. Neither the matron here nor the frumpy housewife at your home can stop my true love for you." First anniversary? From now on, every time she celebrated her birthday, would it clash with their anniversary? If she happened to die on this day, would Ethan also forget the anniversary of her death? Vivian felt a chill in her heart, turned around, and looked coldly at Lily. "I'm a frumpy housewife. I'm picky about buying a pumpkin. That's so he can live better. You spend money lavishly now, but isn't it still his money you're spending? Even if he had nothing, I would still love him and stay with him. Can you do that?" She didn't dare look at Ethan's face. She clenched her fists and sized up his new love. Just average. Not as pretty as she was when she was young, but certainly fresher than she was now. Lily's face looked ugly, and she didn't speak for a long time. Vivian suddenly lost her courage, picked up her basket, turned, and left. "Vivian, I don't care for it." Ethan protected Lily, and with that short sentence, he cast her into hell. She fought back tears and walked forward with difficulty. After this scene, she was in no mood to buy groceries. She hurriedly paid and left the supermarket. Vivian returned home and collapsed in the entryway. Ethan's sentence echoing in her ears. Vivian, I don't care for it. Sitting there for a long time, she suddenly stood up, lifted the plastic bag, and ducked into the kitchen. Today was her 30th birthday. Ethan would definitely come back. She was really not good at cooking. She followed the recipe seriously, and at least it looked somewhat presentable. Bringing out the last bowl of soup, she saw the dining table was clean, while broken porcelain shards and spilled soup covered the floor. The dinner she had meticulously prepared was ruined just like that. Looking at the bright and beautiful Lily, she fought the urge to splash soup on her. This is my home, please leave. Ethan came down the stairs. Vivian, this is also my home. Her fingers lost strength, and the large soup bowl smashed onto her foot. Scalding soup splashed everywhere, mostly seeping into her slippers, burning her skin. As if she had no sensation, she stared straight at Ethan and asked softly, Little E, what do you mean? Naturally embracing Lily, he said, Vivian, if you want to be angry, we'll divorce. If you can tolerate Lily, I'm willing to live together with you. What? Vivian's vision was foggy. Why had marriage made him unrecognizable? In the beginning, he was the one who proposed. He lifted the hem of Lily's shirt as if carelessly, his fingers touching the smooth skin of her young body like a dragonfly skimming water. His volume increased. Vivian, if you kick Lily out, I'll divorce you. A stinging pain began to spread from her foot. She held back tears, her voice becoming even smaller. Little E, what if I only have a few months left to live? Let Lily go now. After I die, it won't matter if you marry her. Ethan looked straight at her coldly. What game are you playing now? The fear and grievance of dying erupted under his indifference. She kicked away the broken porcelain shards. Ethan Blackwood, I choose divorce. His eyes bloodshot, Ethan grabbed Vivian's withered arm. Don't you love me? How can you say divorce just like that? She just didn't want Lily to come in. Before her was the man she had loved for many years. She had watched him turn from a boy into a man. She was mentally and physically exhausted. Whatever you want, do it. Ethan refused to let go. Seeing the mood turn wrong, Lily leaned softly against him. Ethan, ignore her. I'll cook for you, She leaned into his ear, shyly whispering intimate words. Vivian pried his hand open, her steps heavy as she struggled upstairs. Taking out the first aid kit, she numbly treated her scalded foot. Forget it. She suddenly threw away the cotton swab, walked into the study, took out a fountain pen, and began writing her will. Ethan was young, he would rebel and cheat. But after she died, with no one to look after him, he would be lonely. So everything she had, she would give to him. After Vivian finished writing the will, she couldn't help but take out a sheet of letter paper and solemnly, slowly wrote, Little E, after I'm gone, you must take good care of yourself. Locking these in the drawer, she sat in a daze for a long time. Unwilling to go downstairs to see him being affectionate with another woman, she walked slowly to the master bedroom's bathroom and filled half the bathtub with water. She lay in the warm water, finally letting out a comfortable sigh. Her life was ending, yet she was betrayed by her husband, the husband she had chosen, by giving up almost everything. Ethan, can I really sleep here? Will that frumpy housewife agree? Lily's delicate voice startled Vivian awake. The water was a bit cold. Vivian stood up expressionlessly, slowly wiping her body with a towel until the last drop of water was gone. Putting on her pajamas, she numbly watched Ethan kiss Lily on her bed. Lily had taken over the nest, and Ethan was indulging it intentionally. Fighting alone, what could she do? She had even said she only had a few months to live, so how else could she keep her little E? Selecting some clothes, she went to the study next door, curling up on the chaise lounge, yet compelled to listen to the sounds from the master bedroom. Even so, it seemed she couldn't let Ethan die. She was 6 years older than him. Loving him from the start was unfair. Dazedly, she fell asleep. In her dream, Ethan pulled her hand forcefully. Big V, you can't marry Sean. Strangely acting as the third wheel in her own home to Ethan and Lily for a few days, she completely decided to give up on surgery. Before going out, she applied makeup earnestly, improving her complexion. At a glance, she looked 10 years younger, as if she were still in her youthful years. Lawyer's office. Samuel felt it was utterly absurd. Vivian, why do you love Ethan so much? You're dying, he brought a mistress home, and you're still just thinking about giving him all your inheritance. The sunlight danced, blurring her vision. She said, I don't know why either. Back then, you should have married Sean. Samuel tugged at his tie angrily. Vivian, why don't you understand how to cut your losses? Hearing Sean's name, her eyelids twitched. Finally, she handed the signed divorce agreement and will to him. Samuel, you are a lawyer and I know you, so I came to you. If you are unwilling, I'll find someone else. Thinking of Ethan's indifferent sentence, what game are you playing now? Her eyes finally became wet. I will cut my losses. Samuel compromised. Vivi, I'll handle it for you. Vivian gave a hum of acknowledgement. Then I'm going home, you stay busy. Seeing Lily eating grapes in the living room, Vivian didn't react much, though her heart was still sad. Big V, my stomach hurts. Can you call Ethan for me? She was about to go upstairs to hide in the study but was stopped by Lily. Glancing at the rosy-cheeked Lily, she said coldly, You're playing on your phone right now. Call him yourself. Big V, you're old and yellow. What can make up hide? Lily stopped pretending. You're hogging Ethan, but he will only detest you more. That is my business. She forced herself to walk past her calmly. Once in the bathroom, she frantically washed the makeup off her face. The woman in the mirror was haggard and old. How could she compare to Lily? She returned to the study. Drowsiness hit her, and she fell asleep not long after. This time, she dreamt of Sean. Vivian, she was suddenly pushed awake. She looked confusedly at the furious Ethan in front of her. What's wrong? He flipped her onto the floor. You have the nerve to ask. You really disgust me. Lily had a stomach ache. Would it kill you to make a phone call for her? You almost killed my child. Vivian smashed directly onto the floor, scraping the skin off her elbow. Lily is pregnant? She almost miscarried, but didn't? What a pity. Pressing his left knee against her lower back, he said angrily, Vivian, you did it on purpose. She held back tears. If I say I didn't, do you believe me? If I say Lily deliberately tried to frame me, do you believe me? Little E, do you believe me? He threw her away in disgust. Isn't it just a child? Ethan, I can give birth for you too. Her scraped flesh rubbed against the floor as Vivian turned over with difficulty. Ethan Blackwood, do you really not love me? She looked at him while unbuttoning her clothes. Stripping down to her pants, she stumbled to stand up, bent over, and then straightened up. For a second, she wanted to die in Ethan's arms. That way, he would never forget her in this lifetime. But she couldn't bear for him to endure the pain and gloom of the rest of his life. She humbly begged for his pity. Ethan's face was tight, as if some emotion was about to burst out. A crisp ringtone broke their stalemate. He picked up the phone. Okay, I'll come right away. Vivian lay on the floor, hugging her knees like a newborn baby. She really was old and fading. She was barely 30, yet even naked, she couldn't make Ethan touch her. It hurt so much. Samuel was worried about Vivian. He forced himself to find an issue with the will and drove to Vivian's villa. All the doors were open. Samuel felt it was odd. He called Vivian, but no one answered. Hearing a ringtone upstairs, he didn't hang up, following the sound to find Vivian curled up in a ball in the study. Vivian? She didn't respond. Vivi? Samuel panicked completely. Touching her burning back, his face felt hot. Worried something had happened to her, he couldn't care about propriety. He devoutly dressed her and carried her to the car. Vivian, what is so good about Ethan? Vivian, you want to die? I forbid it. Vivian, you're pregnant? She was pregnant with Ethan's child. She moved her eyelids and woke up. Seeing the anxious Samuel, she murmured, I didn't die. Anger surging, Samuel threw the lab report at her. Vivian, do you still dare to die? You're pregnant with Ethan's child. Seeing her face turn pale, he slapped the medical record onto the cabinet. Vivian, if you don't get surgery, you're just waiting for the child to die with you. Vivian gripped the sheets, trying to sit up. Say that again. Extending his right arm to support her waist, he helped her sit up, saying with complex emotions, Vivian, you are pregnant. She stared at the lab report, unsure for a moment whether to be happy or sad. It was probably from half a month ago, when Ethan was fulfilling his routine duties with her. Before, Ethan would pretend to maintain this marriage, sometimes once a month, occasionally every 2 weeks. She actually conceived, but Ethan hated her now. How could he look forward to her child? His brain was filled only with that piece of flesh in Lily's belly. Samuel was unwilling to respect Vivian's wish to die anymore. He grabbed her arm. Vivian, you can want to die, but the child cannot die. If you want to keep Ethan, giving birth to the child healthily is your only chance. If you abort the child now and wait for stomach cancer to take your life, That is truly handing Ethan over to that mistress. It's not that I'm handing him over, it's that Ethan doesn't love me anymore. But she didn't say it, because she was moved by Samuel's words. Samuel, I will try hard to let the child survive. She had just woken up, and Samuel was worried. I'll go with you to find the doctor. She nodded. Thank you, Samuel. Samuel helped Vivian out of the ward. Walking toward them were Ethan and Lily, loving as if they were newlyweds. Since becoming pregnant, Lily wanted to ascend to the position of wife even more. Seeing Vivian close to another man made her extremely happy. She deliberately nudged Ethan. Ethan, isn't that the frumpy housewife from your house? Ethan looked over impatiently. Seeing Samuel, he became angry, though he still remembered to comfort Lily. You're pregnant, you can't get agitated. Wait here for me, I'll go talk to her. We are effectively divorced, rest assured. Lily nodded shyly, cursing in her heart for Vivian to die a horrible death. Seeing Ethan approaching, Vivian pushed Samuel, begging in a low voice, Go, Samuel, go. But it was too late. Ethan blocked the way in front of the two, his gaze landing on Vivian's face like quenched ice. Vivian, I forgot. Without Sean, you still have Samuel. Sean. Vivian suddenly remembered that year when Sean burst into the classroom holding a large bouquet of light pink Peruvian lilies, looking at her with a blushing face. Vivian, I like you. Can you be with me? The boy had starry eyes and sword-like eyebrows, with a charming mole at the corner of his eye. Her expression completely enraged Ethan. Vivian, you're still thinking about Sean. Samuel loosened his tie and threw a punch. Ethan Blackwood, if Vivian had even a thought about Sean, would she have married you? None of your business. Ethan dodged the fist and simultaneously grabbed Samuel's tie. What right do you have to hit me? Samuel was refined and couldn't beat Ethan at all. He was completely beat. After taking a few punches and spitting out a mouthful of bloody water, he said, Then do you know? Vivian is pregnant with your child, has late-stage stomach cancer, but refuses to get on the operating table. Samuel, Vivian screamed, stepping forward to pull him away, kneeling directly. Can you please leave? I will manage myself. Just go. Samuel's face was covered in blood, but his heart hurt more. Vivian, who gave up Sean, angered her father to death, disregarded morality, and insisted on marrying Ethan. How could there be even a second where she didn't stand by Ethan's side? Samuel truly couldn't bear to hurt Vivian anymore. He said bitterly, Fine, I'll go. Vivian, I'll go. Vivian let go, and Samuel left in a sorry state. Ethan watched coldly. Seeing Vivian sitting on the ground crying, he loathed this woman even more. Oh my God, Lily glimpsed the lab report that had fallen at Ethan's feet. Big V, you're pregnant. Lily hated it. This old woman still forced Ethan to sleep with her. She didn't expect that being so old, she could still get pregnant. Unable to gauge Ethan's mood, Lily had to kneel beside Vivian. Big V, being pregnant is a good thing. Why didn't you tell Ethan? Why tell someone else? I love Ethan, but I'm willing to take care of him together with you. Big V, don't cry. You can't cry when you're pregnant. Sure enough, Ethan became suspicious. Vivian was pregnant and she contacted Samuel. Ethan hoisted Vivian up. Vivian, whose child are you carrying? Sean's or Samuel's? Vivian was shocked. Ethan, what are you saying? With the way you look now, Sean wouldn't want you. He said viciously, So, I wasn't willing to touch you, and you couldn't stand the loneliness, so you found Samuel? No wonder he cares about you so much. Success in sowing discord. Lily hypocritically protected Vivian. Ethan, how can you say that? The child Big V is carrying must be yours. Although Big V is over 30, she's still quite good looking. It's normal to have suitors. The child must be yours, don't be angry. We'll raise it together, okay? Ethan replied, Lily, you are too kind. You don't know how disgusting this woman is. Vivian smiled bitterly. How disgusting? Thinking about it now, truly disgusting. Her abdomen suddenly cramped with pain. She wanted to explain, but she had no strength. Ethan assumed she had a guilty conscience and dragged her into the nearest hospital room. Lily wanted to follow into act, but was locked out directly. Thrown onto the hospital bed, Vivian was somewhat afraid. Ethan, what are you going to do? Locking the door, Ethan took out the abortion pills originally prepared for Lily. Help you miscarry. Propping herself up on the bed with her elbows, Vivian retreated to the headboard. Ethan, no, I am carrying your child, it's yours, you can do a paternity test. Even if it is mine. Ethan pressed one knee against the edge of the bed, prying her mouth open with his left hand and stuffing the pills in with his right. "I don't want it, and you don't deserve it." The bitter taste of the medicine spread on the tip of her tongue. Vivian didn't want to swallow, but Ethan stuffed them in one by one and forced her to drink half a cup of water. The cramps in her abdomen intensified. Vivian was in so much pain her ears rang. She rolled over, lying prone on the bed, numbly clawing at her throat. She seemed to feel the child she shared with Ethan slipping away bit by bit. Choking until her cheeks were red, she slammed onto the bed, her gaze losing focus. "Ethan, I'm sorry, I was wrong, it was my wishful thinking." Why did someone destined to die think she could give birth to a child, think she could use the child as salvation? Why did she obsess over a man who had long strayed from the marriage? "Ethan Blackwood, let's divorce. The villa is mine. Please take your mistress and leave my villa." Ethan said coldly, "As you wish." A week later, Vivian knelt before the bathtub, pulling out the hair falling into the tile crevices. After killing their child, Ethan was completely tired of her. He took Lily and left the villa, never returning. Although they hadn't formally divorced, they had started living apart. Hearing the phone ring, she had no thought of moving. She pulled up the long hair clinging to the bathtub again. These past few days, it seemed like all the hair of her lifetime was going to fall out. The ringtone stopped, then rang again persistently 2 seconds later. Vivian couldn't stand the sound, her head started to ache. But the caller seemed intent on gaming her, calling continuously. Irritated, she supported herself on the bathtub to stand up, ran to the bedroom, and picked up the vibrating phone. The caller ID was Little E. She paused for half a second before answering. Ethan? Was he short of money or in trouble? After the miscarriage, she didn't even see a doctor. She fled back to the villa covered in blood, let alone getting surgery. She cut off all contact with the outside world, doing boring and detailed things every day, waiting for death to arrive. Thinking of Ethan again, she surprisingly didn't hate him. Every sleepless night, she hoped Ethan was by her side. Even if she could only hear his breathing, she would be satisfied. "Vivian, your wild man is causing me trouble. I'm at the police station now." Ethan's almost commanding tone made Vivian think she had returned to a few years ago, when he was still the boy following her, calling her Big V, but dominating her and forbidding her from dating. Thinking she was playing dead, Ethan repeated impatiently, "Vivian, I'm at the police station. It's Samuel's fault." Vivian moved her throat. "Okay, I'm coming." Last time Samuel and Ethan parted on bad terms. She was afraid Samuel would really use legal weapons against Ethan. Ethan was young and aggressive, especially prone to impulse. He was absolutely no match for Samuel at the police station. Without looking in the mirror, she could imagine her currently sickly and pale self. Hat, scarf, gloves, long coat. Covering up until only half her face showed, she then put on her bag and rushed to the police station. Samuel ran into Ethan and Lily at the hospital. Presumably, Ethan was still angry at Samuel for giving him a green hat, cuckolding him, and beat him until his head broke and bled again. This time Vivian wasn't there, so Samuel decisively called the police. Ethan was angry and maliciously summoned Vivian. Vivian unsurprisingly begged Samuel to let Ethan go. Ethan's brows were sharp, unable to hide his triumph. Ethan had a chest full of anger with nowhere to vent, yet his heart ached for the dying humility of Vivian. Eventually, he gave up. Vivian tentatively held Ethan's hand. He didn't resist. She greedily held it tight. The cold wind blew. Stepping on the stairs, she took out a folded handkerchief and focused gently on wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth. Ethan was uncomfortable but didn't dodge. Not knowing what he remembered, his expression stiffened and he didn't move, nor did he look at Vivian's tenderness. Her gaze was affectionate, and naturally she said, "Little E, if I'm gone, take good care of yourself, okay?" For a second, Ethan was stunned on the spot and unconsciously let out a hem. Lily knew Ethan was in trouble and rushed over enduring her discomfort, only to see Vivian wishing she could kiss Ethan. Anger surged in her. She rushed over and heavily bumped Vivian away. "Big V, Ethan is my boyfriend, now you're divorced. Can you stop pestering him?" Vivian was physically weak and fell directly onto the grass. The back of her head rubbed against the grass stubble. Although cushioned by her hat, she nearly fainted from the pain. Ethan subconsciously supported Lily. "Are you okay? Aren't you having morning sickness? Why did you run out?" Lily leaned on him, sobbing softly. Do you still remember I'm pregnant and uncomfortable? You said you'd marry me, then you didn't. Now that you're in trouble, you don't call me, but instead call your frumpy housewife, then go live with her. I'll take the child and leave alone and stop destroying you too. What nonsense are you talking about? Ethan felt a bit awkward. I'll take you home. Vivian was still in pain, lying stiffly on the grass, yet no one cared. The cold wind whistled past and she slowly closed her eyes, so he still loves Lily. She is pregnant. Her child is a treasure. I was pregnant. My child was a bastard of unknown origin. The scene of Ethan forcing her to take the abortion pills appeared before her eyes. The pain of the child draining vividly from her body attacked again. Vivian was tired. Let's just die like this. Anyway, those who loved me are dead, and those alive don't love me anymore. Samuel finished the procedures and left the police station, only to see Vivian lying motionless. He was badly frightened. Vivian's breathing was weak, and she had no reaction. Ethan had hit hard, and Samuel hurt all over, but he still bent down to pick up Vivian, placed her steadily in the car, and raced to the hospital. Samuel's face was bruised and battered, very pathetic. At the hospital, he only urged the doctor to treat Vivian. Only then did he learn that Vivian's child was long gone. Even that tragic miscarriage made it impossible for her to get pregnant again. Listening to the doctor's calm words, Samuel suddenly regretted it. Just now at the station, he shouldn't have been soft-hearted even if Vivian would be sad. He should have let Ethan taste suffering. He asked urgently, "Doctor, can you operate on her?" He wanted her to live. He wouldn't care about Vivian's persistence anymore. The doctor looked at him with compassion. It's too late for her. Besides, her current physical condition is not suitable for surgery. Samuel fell silent. The doctor added, "The patient can still hold on for a few days. Spend more time with her. Maybe if she's in a good mood, a miracle can happen." Samuel nodded numbly. He didn't want to nod at all, because nodding was admitting that Vivian only had a few days left. Vivian was eventually moved back to a regular ward. Waking up in the middle of the night with a start, she shouted, "Little E!" Samuel guarded her all night. When Vivian woke up, although she was so thin her cheekbones protruded, her hair was sparse, and her face was bloodless, her eyes were still alive. "Vivi, what do you want to eat? I'll buy it for you." Vivian shook her head numbly. "Vivi, it snowed last night. The snow scenery outside is quite beautiful. Will you go for a walk with me?" Vivian shook her head again. "Vivi, the doctor said you're fine. I'll take you home, okay?" she said. "I don't believe it." Passing out on the grass, sleeping and waking, last night in her dreams, she dreamt of her father and mother. In that world without Ethan, they wouldn't blame her. They competed to dote on her. "Vivi, do you want Ethan to keep you company?" Her eyelashes trembled lightly. A familiar face appeared before Vivian's eyes. It was the young Ethan. After a long time, she whispered, "I don't want to." But Samuel knew clearly that Vivian wanted to, very much. Vivian didn't have much spirit. After waking up for a while, she barely agreed to drink 2 mouthfuls of porridge only after he almost knelt. Once Samuel went out, Vivian rolled onto the floor and retched into the trash can. Samuel asked the nurse to look after Vivian and went to find Ethan. Ethan was soaking in a hot spring with a young girl. Receiving Samuel's call, he was surprised. "Want to get beaten up again?" "Yes, where the hell are you?" Samuel was finally forced by Ethan to swear. Ethan sneered and gave the address. Standing by the pool, Samuel saw Ethan's hand on the girl's waist. And the flushed girl was definitely not Lily, who was pregnant for him. He changed women again. Samuel jumped down and threw a punch. "Ethan, will you die if you don't change women? Vivian loves you so much. Can she really not compare to these young pretty ones?" "None of your business." Ethan pushed the young girl away, showing no weakness. Originally, Samuel was absolutely weaker. His wounds from last night hadn't been treated, but supported by anger, his hits were heavy and hateful. The two wrestled together. The girl screamed and fled, hurriedly putting on a large towel to call for help. Minutes later, Samuel lay by the pool, beaten again. "Ethan, Vivian is really dying. She's in the hospital. I begged the doctor to operate on her, but the doctor said it was too late." Thinking of the scene last night, his eyes turned red. Ethan retracted his fist. "You think I'll believe that?" Samuel roared. "Why would I lie to you? She knew I liked her. But she never paid attention to me. She sought me out because she knew she had cancer. So she wrote a will leaving all her assets to you. She wanted me to handle these things because she was afraid you'd be cheated." Samuel spoke so truly that Ethan began to doubt. The words she said to him on her birthday suddenly rang in his ears. "Little E, what if? What if I only have a few months left to live? Let Lily go now. After I die, it won't matter if you marry her." The scene in the hospital appeared before his eyes again, where he forcefully made her take the abortion pills. He actually felt a bit of heartache. But hadn't he stopped loving that old woman long ago? Samuel thought of Vivian's lifeless appearance, put down his pride, and knelt before Ethan. "I beg you, go keep her company, just for the last few days. If she wasn't thinking of you, why would I beg you like this?" Ethan looked at Samuel warily, pursing his lips tightly. Samuel said again, "Vivian's assets are all yours. In the future, for her medicine, funeral, I can bear the money needed. If you need money, I can give it to you too. If you need my help, I can satisfy you too. As long as I have it, I can give it to you. I really beg you to let her live. Pretend, even if it's pretending, love her again for the last few days." Ethan instinctively wanted to say, "What right do you have to act like you love her so much? Just such an old woman, what is worth loving?" But what he opened his mouth to say was, "Where is the hospital?" This must be Vivian asking Samuel to act. He wanted to go personally to expose it. Lily watched Samuel and Ethan leave, her pretty face completely twisted. Originally, she chased Ethan here just to catch him cheating. She didn't expect to hear such a speech. The frumpy housewife was dying, and the assets were all going to Ethan. Even dying, the frumpy housewife wanted to hog Ethan. And Ethan actually went so he got her pregnant, but the one he loved was still that frumpy housewife. She clenched her fists. "No, I can't sit still and wait for death in the car." Samuel took out a file folder. "This is Vivian's suicide note and the divorce agreement she signed." Ethan felt it was a lie and didn't move. Samuel spoke on his own. "Vivian talks about divorcing you, but she still couldn't bear to hand it to you, let you sign it, and go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the certificate. Before she dies, she hopes you are her husband. Ethan, I don't know about the past, so I won't say much. For these 4 years, she really loved you. Even if you prefer the new and loathe the old, or whatever, for these last few days, just be her husband properly." Ethan didn't speak, remaining expressionless the whole time. He felt that Vivian was really leaving this time, yet also felt Samuel could win an Oscar, tricking him into believing it. On the way to the ward with Samuel and Ethan, they ran into the doctor doing routine rounds. The doctor comforted Samuel with a few more words. Ethan finally felt something was wrong. No matter how rich or powerful Vivian was, could she bribe a doctor? Samuel was still afraid Ethan would go in and add insult to injury, reminding him repeatedly, "Ethan, I beg you, treat her well." "Get lost," he shook off Samuel. "Who the hell are you?" Thinking that Vivian's heart and mind were all on Ethan, Samuel had to let go, watching helplessly as he went in. When Samuel saw Vivian struggling to climb onto the windowsill, he blurted out, "Sis, don't jump." That instinctive outpouring of emotion, buried deep for so long, had nothing to do with suspicion, disgust, or pride. Hearing his voice, Vivian's hand shook and she almost slipped. But she steadied herself, braced herself, and stood up. Her palm pressed against the clear glass. She looked back. "Little E, are you sincere?" 10 minutes ago, Lily called her, saying Ethan knew she was about to die and was preparing to come to accompany her, to cheat her out of her inheritance. Because he wanted to give Lily and their child the best life. Didn't she give it all to him? Why couldn't he wait for just these few days? For a long time, he looked her straight in the eye for the first time. His brows and eyes were as she remembered, only revealing decay everywhere. Probably because she really had cancer, she, who originally had a good figure, had become skin and bones. He watched until his eyes stung, but his throat seemed blocked. He couldn't answer, sincere. When he began to lean toward the truth that Vivian was sincere to him, he actually couldn't bear it, nor did he have the courage to face it. And in Vivian's ears, Lily's words echoed. "Vivian, did you hear that? This is Ethan's promise to me. Once he cheats you out of your money, he'll give it all to me. Vivian, he didn't love you when you were healthy. Now that you're sick, older and uglier, why would he be willing to accompany you? Vivian, what's the use of you living? He doesn't love you at all." Go die. The wind blew past, a bit cold. Vivian tightened her hand, her voice gentle. "I'll give you whatever you want. If you think Lily is good, then marry her." If possible, she wanted to live to see Ethan change his heart, see their farce. She hated the triumphant Lily, but she hurt too much. The illness, Ethan's lack of love every second she breathed was another second of pain. Looking at him fondly for the last time, carving his young, handsome face into her heart, she turned her head, expecting nothing more. Little E, I never regretted loving you. I only regret marrying you. Accompanied by the pain of stomach spasms, Vivian jumped down. Big V, seeing the flash of her skirt, Ethan shouted in a breakdown. Vivian really jumped, not acting certainly not to tie him down so. The terminal illness and the will Samuel spoke of were all true too. Little E, I never regretted loving you. According to her character, this sentence really was her last words. She still hated him for not loving enough, hated him for loving someone else, hated him for killing their child. So she said this sentence to make him suffer for the rest of his life. The second before she jumped, he was still thinking about how to completely get rid of this trouble, Vivian. This time he was truly free, yet he had no courage to face it. When Vivian was 18, she was striving for independence. She went to college alone in Seaview City. For the convenience of working odd jobs, she had to rent the cheapest one-bedroom apartment near the school. In the dilapidated alley, there wasn't even a decent door. But asking her to share with others, she lacked a sense of security. The air in the deep autumn night began to turn cold. Vivian got off her evening shift at the supermarket and shivered as she walked on the road. She gritted her teeth and endured, speeding up to get home. Thud, after a loud noise, a dark shadow rolled in front of her, pressing heavily on her foot. She was badly frightened and held onto the lamp post beside her. You! Get lost, brat. Get the hell out of here. I paid to play. Why the hell are you causing trouble? A coarse, cursing voice interrupted her. It was followed by a deafening door slam, and the commotion deep in the alley disappeared completely. It took a long time for Vivian to recover. The heat breathed onto her leg belonged to a living person. She bent down, and in the dim light, supported the child's arm, lifting him up with effort. Are you okay? Only when the warm yellow light spilled onto Ethan's face did she see clearly a boy's face. Young, tender, and full of hostility. Feeling bad in her heart, she gently stroked the bruise on his forehead. Does it hurt? Ethan's mother, Jane Blackwood, was abducted at 18 and had been doing shameful business ever since. In fact, she didn't even know who Ethan's father was. If there was any change after having Ethan, it was that Jane went from the top escort everyone fought over to cheap, labor-soliciting customers on the street. To feed Ethan, Jane endured. If she stayed in one place too long, there would be too many wives looking for trouble, so she moved almost every year or two. This night wasn't the first time Ethan caused trouble with Jane's guest, but it was the first time he met Vivian when kicked out of the house. Treated gently for the first time, Ethan shrank back, dodging Vivian's touch. It doesn't hurt. Jane's scream, sounding both shrill and pleasurable, made Vivian look shy. Although she hadn't dated, she was clear about these things. Glancing at Ethan, whose lips were tightly pursed, she spoke tentatively. How about you come home with me? Where is your home? Ethan sized Vivian up warily. Vivian pointed into the alley, whispering, 2 doors down from your house. Unable to hear the commotion and not too far from home, Ethan nodded. Okay. Watching one's mother please other men for money, no one would feel good, right? Therefore, Vivian didn't mind Ethan's almost rude attitude. She gently put her arm around his thin shoulders and comforted him. My house is a bit small, but it's quite warm. Ethan interrupted her. Is there food? Whenever he clashed with those ugly men, Jane would starve him, leaving him to fend for himself. Thinking of the stock at home, she said, there are cookies. I can also cook you a bowl of egg noodles. She was always alone. On holidays at home, she cooked noodles at most. Working part-time outside of school, she didn't have many chances to cook. Ethan gave a not afraid at all that Vivian was a bad person. Nothing was more miserable than being beaten out of the house again and again by his mother's clients. In the narrow hallway, Vivian lowered her head, found the old key, and skillfully opened the mottled wooden door. Click, warm yellow light instantly filled the room. Vivian pointed to the only chair in the room. Here, go sit for a while. Ethan walked over silently. She closed the door and turned into the kitchen. There was still half a bunch of greens on the cutting board. She revealed a smile, carefully picked off the withered leaves, and sorted out the still tender hearts. Boiling noodles, cracking an egg, adding the cut vegetables. Afraid Ethan was hungry, she made the simplest boiled noodles. Before long, a steaming bowl of clear soup egg noodles was ready. Vivian pinched the edge of the glass bowl, carefully carried it out of the kitchen, and placed it on the small table on the bed. The so-called one-bedroom was more like a large bedroom partitioned into a bedroom, living room, kitchen, and bathroom. For ease of movement, she omitted all non-essential furniture. Except for the small wardrobe by the bed, only a chair occupied space. "Come eat," she blew on her hot fingers. Ethan stared at the steaming noodles for a while, moved the chair, and leaned toward the bed. Vivian handed him chopsticks at the right moment. "Eat while it's hot." The starving Ethan didn't fuss anymore, snatching the chopsticks and burying his head to eat the noodles. "Don't burn yourself," she said softly. Originally, she planned to take a hot bath upon returning home, but she wasn't at ease leaving Ethan alone, so she had to take out exam papers from her bag to study. The slurping sounds of eating noodles, accompanied by the rustling of turning pages, played an unexpectedly pleasant music. Finished. Ethan didn't put down the bowl until not a drop of soup was left. Vivian's cooking skills were actually average, but he couldn't help being hungry. Moreover, the simple vegetable and egg noodles inexplicably gave him the taste of mom. When he was still small and couldn't scream to drive away those men, his mom would make him noodles. Vivian looked up, put away the papers, and stood up to walk toward him. "I'll help you clean up." Picking up the empty bowl, she pondered for a moment, saying hesitantly, "You." She didn't know if the man who hit Ethan would stay the night. She wanted to ask about his staying or leaving, but didn't know how to phrase it. Before she could figure out what to say, Ethan suddenly reached out, his palm pressing against her chest through her clothes. His slender fingers were spread wide, wrapping firmly. Vivian felt like she was electrocuted, her whole body stiff. Only after a long time did she frown and ask, "What are you doing?" If it were a male classmate who usually passed love letters to Vivian offending her like this, she would have slapped him long ago. If there were soup noodles left in the bowl, she would have unhesitatingly dumped it on his head. But this person was Ethan, a boy beaten until he rolled to her feet. She became serious. "Let go." Ethan not only didn't let go, but instead recalled the movements of those men and copied them. "Is it happy?" The words he asked solemnly were full of the flavor of flirtation. Vivian's face flushed red. "Smack!" She swatted his hand away. "Don't touch me like that if you do it again." "If you do it again?" Meeting Ethan's stubborn eyes, she couldn't say the words "get out," no matter what. Glimpsing the weird flush on Vivian's face, Ethan suddenly felt hot and retracted his hand as if shocked. "I'm sorry." Vivian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Finally, she put the bowl and chopsticks in the sink, then returned to the bedroom. "Are you going home?" Ethan thought she was driving him away. His palm seemed to still have the soft touch. He understood where he went wrong. He looked up, his pitch-black eyes locking onto her still youthful face, apologizing very sincerely. "Big V, I'm sorry." Ethan suddenly doing this, she couldn't react for a moment. He said solemnly, "I did that just now because those bad men always do that to my mom. I hate them bullying mom, but mom punishes me instead. Big V, I just wanted to know if this makes one happy, why they all like doing this." Ethan's gaze was still direct. Probably only the thin layer of sweat seeping from his palms could show his nervousness. Vivian wasn't in the mood to observe small details. Ethan's explanation left her speechless for a moment. To date, the most independent thing she had done was travel far to Seaview City for college and bear her own tuition and living expenses. She had never dated. The throbbing of adolescence naturally existed, but almost all were fleeting. She wasn't ignorant of sex and love classics, romance novels, and movies had too many ways to interpret them, but for her, it was ultimately just paper talk. She knew very well she couldn't answer this boy she had brought home out of momentary soft-heartedness. Why did his mother have to please those strangers paying money? Why, when he pushed away the rough men for his mother, did his mother punish him instead? Also, she couldn't answer whether a woman being groped felt pleasure or resistance. After thinking for a long time, she finally said, "I'm sorry, I don't know." Blinking, Ethan revealed a smile. "Big V, I don't want to go home. Can I stay at your place?" The sullen boy was gloomy. But at this moment, Ethan seemed bathed in sunlight. The boy had red lips and white teeth, his features exquisite, and when he smiled, he was beautiful like a lovely youth in an old French movie. As if possessed, Vivian agreed. Afraid she would regret it, Ethan sat obediently on the edge of the bed, looking eagerly at the papers stacked at the head of the bed. Vivian, recovering slightly, followed his gaze and asked softly, "Do you have homework unfinished too? I haven't been to school." Ethan lowered his eyes, his voice becoming lower. "Mom said for her to raise me. She has already done all she could." The words spat out from Jane's mouth were too awkward for him. He rolled his tongue before saying them completely. Strange yet overwhelming heartache instantly drowned Vivian. Putting aside the discomfort just now, she let down her guard and gently patted the top of his head. "Do you want to study? If you want to, I'll help you." Once the words were out, she realized it was inappropriate. A boy like Ethan looked covered in thorns, but actually lacked security the most. The reason he trusted her might simply be a bowl of noodles or her not minding his abrupt reach. To such a child, she couldn't break her promise. Suddenly looking up, stars suddenly dotted the boy's eyes. "I want to." His short hair brushed her palm, ticklish, while an unfamiliar warm current unexpectedly flowed through her heart. Silent for a few seconds, she said seriously, "Okay, I will help you." The light fell lazily around her. Vivian, enshrouded in the warmth of the light, was gentle as water. At that time, Ethan thought he would never meet anyone more beautiful than her in his life. Vivian took a picture book out of her bag and handed it to Ethan. "Here, read this book tonight. I'm a bit tired. I plan to sleep after showering." Devoutly taking the book, Ethan promised sincerely, "Big V, go ahead, I'll be good." To stay, the boy hid his full body of hostility, becoming soft and harmless. How could she resist? She wasn't afraid of the cold. In winter, she wore thin, tight-slip dresses. After showering, she put on the dress as usual. Seeing half her shoulder exposed in the mirror, she suddenly realized she had kept that boy. Thinking of his offending hand, an indescribable restlessness actually surged in her body. Vivian quickly covered her chest and wrapped herself up tightly. Perhaps it was due to the lack of romance that she would easily. Vivian decided that after this busy period, she would carefully choose a male classmate at school to have a relationship with. After tossing and turning, she was really tired. "If you like it, read slowly. Remember to turn off the light when you sleep." After instructing him, Vivian fell straight onto the bed, falling into deep sleep almost as soon as she touched the soft mattress. Ethan actually couldn't read. He struggled very hard to rely on illustrations to understand the story. After dozing off a few times, he finally folded the corner of the page, closed it, and carefully put it back in the bag. Seeing her lying prone sleeping, with the small table and bag unorganized, he frowned unhappily. Was she acting like this because she didn't welcome him sleeping on the bed? He understood living under someone else's roof. Instead of throwing a tantrum like at home, he silently packed his bag, putting it together with the small table on the chair. Just as he wanted to lie down next to her, he smelled a fragrant scent. She had bathed. He had been kicked by that old man and rolled on the ground. He must be very dirty. Thinking of his mom always ordering him to bathe, he ran into the bathroom and took a quick shower. Throwing his dirty clothes in the bathroom, he turned off the light and drilled into the quilt stark naked. It was a bit cold. Fortunately, Vivian had already warmed the quilt. He nuzzled into her embrace. Dazedly, he murmured, "Mom." Vivian's biological clock was regular. Waking up like this was terrible. She was entangled all over. Although Vivian treated Ethan as a child, she still blushed. Stiff for a long time, so long that her legs began to go numb. She wanted to lose her temper but worried about influencing Ethan badly. After all, he missed his mother, not her, this strange big sister. His exploration last night, fundamentally, was also due to being unenlightened. Just as she was hesitating, Ethan mumbled "hungry" and turned over. Her waist lightened. She hurriedly rolled and got out of bed with high difficulty. Finally recovering from the strange dizziness, she found a section of Ethan's calf hanging by the bed. Vivian sighed, gently held his ankle, pushed it back under the quilt, and then carefully tucked him in. Maybe because she envied neighbors and relatives whose children had siblings since childhood, unexpectedly meeting the even more miserable and helpless Ethan, she felt pity and was very tolerant and caring. Ethan was awakened by the aroma from the kitchen. He sat up all at once, still having a bit of morning grumpiness. His eyes were foggy, looking at the smoke-wreathed kitchen seemingly without seeing. Very fragrant, like fresh meat wontons. Gradually clearing in his vision was Vivian's slender figure. Ethan instinctively swallowed his saliva. Running into the bathroom in a sorry state, he didn't mind the dirt, putting on the clothes left in the bathroom that had dried overnight, putting them on piece by piece. Vivian came out carrying wonton noodles. Seeing his wrinkled clothes, she said, "Remember to change into clean clothes when you go home, okay?" The boy nodded eagerly. Having no clean clothes, he was ashamed to mention it. Chin lifted slightly, she said warmly, "Put the small table away." Seeing him do it obediently, her heart softened, and she completely stopped minding the morning's accident. She asked with a smile, "What is your name?" "Ethan Blackwood." He folded the table legs and held it steady. She set the bowl and chopsticks. "Eat quickly." Ethan was really hungry. Once permitted, ignoring the heat, he scooped it into his mouth hole. She watched for a while. "Eat slowly." Finding Ethan nodding frequently but not slowing down, she was helpless, but reflecting on it, she felt heartache. His mother herself lived precariously. She probably couldn't take good care of him. Before leaving, Vivian said what she had been thinking about for a long time. "Ethan, I have class during the day and work at night. I might come back late like yesterday. Why don't you wait for me at home? I will definitely talk to your mom about you going to school." Ethan nodded obediently, following her out of the room. In the long alley, a long and a short shadow intertwined from time to time. Standing at his own door, Ethan was inexplicably panicked, tightly grasping the corner of her coat. "Big V, you will come find me, right? You didn't lie to me, right?" Vivian asked herself honestly. Thinking of negotiating with Ethan's mother, she had thoughts of retreating. To put it harshly, since she and Ethan met by chance, she could completely ignore him. If she was afraid of him pestering her, changing rentals wouldn't be hard. But the fear and hope the boy revealed at this moment dispelled that sliver of thought. Gently grabbing Ethan's tense hand, she squeezed it. "I will." Seeming to feel it wasn't formal enough, she added, "Ethan, I will." Ethan still lacked security, but he knew he couldn't make a fuss. He could only wait. Vivian had a much better temper than his mom, but who knew, if he didn't do something well, would she completely abandon him? He wanted to go to school. He wanted to sleep in a warm embrace like last night. He wanted the ability to drive away those smelly men bullying his mom. He wanted too much, too much. He had never believed so strongly that Vivian could give him what he wanted. Vivian was only a freshman. Her coursework wasn't heavy, but she was motivated and would sit in the classroom reading even without class. The fourth dismissal bell rang. Vivian closed her book, rubbed her aching temples, and knew she should go eat. Organizing her bag, she suddenly remembered the finding a boyfriend thing. There was a watershed between college and high school, but most freshmen still had high school innocence and hot-bloodedness. As soon as Vivian enrolled, due to her looks, she dominated the hot posts on the school forum. The love letters she received piled up like a mountain. To really pick one as a boyfriend was too easy. Thinking this, she took out the 2 love letters received this morning. Last night she thought about finding a boyfriend later, but thinking she wanted to help Ethan sincerely, she decided to settle on a boyfriend as soon as possible. The pink love letter had a romantic style. The boy drew the backs of lovers holding hands. The confession was just one sentence. "If possible, I want to walk through this long life with you." Vivian touched the drawing paper and pulled out the second love letter. The opening was simple and direct. "Hello, Vivian, I am Samuel Young, who likes you." Subsequently, he wrote his major and year, the projects he had handled, his future aspirations, and that he had the ability to make her live very well all her life. Almost without thinking, Vivian decided to reply to Samuel's love letter. Compared to romance, she wanted a stable relationship more. Clang! Just as she was about to write, a huge noise exploded. She jumped, the pen tip making an ugly mark on the letter paper. Calming down slightly, she put down the pen and looked toward the sound, seeing a boy holding a bouquet of light pink Peruvian lilies, stumbling to stand steady, looking at her with a blushing face. "Vivian, I like you. Can you be with me?" The boy had starry eyes and soared like eyebrows, with a charming mole at the corner of his eye, very recognizable. She remembered him too. Pulling out the comic pressed at the bottom, she showed it to him, asking calmly, "You drew this, right?" Sean Rivers scratched the back of his head embarrassedly. "It's me. I sent you a love letter yesterday and couldn't sleep at all last night. I thought, if I couldn't be with you, it would definitely be the biggest regret of my life. So I came again today. I heard you like Peruvian lilies. I searched for a long time to buy this bouquet that looks so good, otherwise, I could have found you earlier. After speaking, he stretched his arm forward, presenting the fiercely blooming flowers like a treasure for her to see. Vivian's heart suddenly collapsed a piece. Okay, I accept. Vivian took the bouquet and placed it on the desk, holding his hand. I am Vivian Sterling. You might not know much about me. I hope you will like me more in the future. Sean smiled until his eyes were slits, patting his chest to guarantee, I definitely will, and that reply intended for Samuel was killed in the cradle. While organizing books in the library at night, Vivian was still worried about Ethan, speeding up to complete the task and ask the bar manager for the night off. Despite this, it was already 9 o'clock when she returned to the small alley. The door to Ethan's house was tightly shut and the windows were dark. Alarm bells rang in her heart. Vivian ran frantically to the dilapidated door, knocking urgently. Ethan, are you there? Even if they had no fixed abode, they wouldn't move in a day. If they really moved, they definitely got into trouble. I'm here. Through the wooden door, sandwiched between knocking and her shouting, Ethan's response appeared faint as a mosquito, but she heard it clearly. Her suspended heart instantly returned to place. She sorted out her chaotic thoughts and pulled the corner of her mouth. Creak, the door opened. Ethan looked up at her. Big V, I thought you wouldn't come. That wet, pitiful look, probably only little Elks lost in the forest had. Her heart softened into a mess. She rubbed the top of his head. I would come, I promised you. I will definitely do it. A cold wind blew. Ethan shrank back, hurriedly pulling her into the room. Big V, my mom hasn't come yet. Are you willing to wait with me? He was still afraid. His voice trembled when pleading. I am willing. She was extremely gentle. But why not turn on the light? Ethan lied without changing expression. Mom didn't pay the electricity bill. Actually, he was afraid Mom would bring those disgusting men back and do those disgusting things directly, scaring Vivian away. Vivian didn't suspect him. In the darkness, she let him lead her step by step forward. Because of Jane's profession, Ethan had practiced the skill of moving freely in the darkness since childhood. But pulling Vivian this time, he was actually a bit nervous. Fortunately, he successfully led her back to his square inch of land. Big V, sit. Ethan patted the cold mat on the wooden board. Her right hand touching the cold hard bed edge, she sat down slowly, asking softly, will your mom come back? If she doesn't come back tonight, how about going to my place? Her rental, though small, had everything, unlike here, without even basic electricity for survival. Ethan leaned close to her, lowering his voice. She should come back. Mom is home every night. After speaking, he couldn't help drifting off. Every time it was him causing trouble with those men, getting kicked out. Regardless of the angle, Jane had the possibility of staying out all night. Vivian had analyzed these possibilities thoroughly in her heart, but showed nothing on her face she didn't know how to explain to Ethan, nor how to handle it if he got stubborn. Thump, thump, thump. In the quiet darkness, both their heartbeats were infinitely amplified. They also couldn't distinguish whose nervousness and throbbing were hitting their eardrums and hearts. Sitting dryly for a long time, she felt the atmosphere becoming weirder and couldn't help speaking up. Ethan, how about damn ghost? Before she finished speaking, a shrill yet slightly raw voice was drowned out by Jane's elevated coquetry. She was badly frightened, nearly going into cardiac arrest instantly. Before she could think about how to face it, her ears were wrapped in strange warmth. The boy's palms, whether from holding too long or nervousness, were warm and exuded fine sweat. Don't listen, Ethan shouted low, lips against the back of her hand. Vivian's ears burned. That heat rippled out in threads, instantly occupying her whole body. That throbbing was so unfamiliar, also making her panicked. Although Ethan firmly pressed her ears, she still heard it all. That man didn't treat Jane like a human. For amusement, he humiliated her wantonly. Even she listened with heart palpitations. Let alone Ethan, she didn't even dare imagine. From how young did Ethan have to be surrounded by this debauched, yet depressed sound? No wonder Ethan's temperament was eccentric like she had never seen before. If she grew up in such an environment, she would probably only be more timid, darker, and more helpless than Ethan. After several long hours, the only thing Vivian felt warm was that Ethan's palms never left her ears. Several times she heard his subtle intake of breath, guessing his hands were numb and wanted him to let go. but his stubbornness silenced her. "Stinking woman, here's money, I'll look for you next time." The man threw down a stack of money. Jane knelt on the ground, immediately picking up all the money. "Thank you, President Wang, come again next time." What did suffering humiliation count for? As long as there was money. Wait until the fat man disappeared. Jane sat on her heels on the ground, suddenly somewhat dazed. How did she become such a lowly woman? Before it was forced. Now she wished more paying men would come. Probably it was after having Ethan. Having this son she never doted on but desperately fed. Hearing movement in Ethan's room, Jane casually threw on a nightgown, walking crookedly, wanting to tell Ethan to go out and buy some late-night snacks. Talking now isn't good, is it? Hearing Vivian's voice, Jane frowned, violently pushing open the door. The light from the master bedroom spilled into Ethan's small room. Face to face, Ethan and Vivian had nowhere to hide. Anger surged instantly. Jane assumed the posture of a mother, questioning aggressively, "Ethan, what kind of person did you bring back? What are you doing?" She almost asked, "Do you want to be like me?" Only in this moment of hesitation did she realize she seemed to be an unqualified mother. "Mom," Ethan's face flushed red, stuttering from nervousness. "Mom, I." It was Vivian who instantly suppressed her panic, stood up, and looked calmly and peacefully at Jane. "Hello, Auntie, please don't misunderstand. I am not a bad person. I want to help Ethan." Jane was very beautiful. Excessive consumption of this beauty made her appear thin and haggard. Seeing Vivian full of student air and an innocent flavor of not knowing worldly affairs, Jane restrained her sharpness slightly. "What can you help with?" Subsequently, she mocked, "Donate money to me?" Pressing down on the trembling hand clutching Ethan's hem, Vivian's gaze toward Jane became firmer. "I want Ethan to go to school. He is still a child. He is still small. He shouldn't be locked in here." "Go to school?" Jane crossed her arms, her gaze sharpening. "Should I pull a few more perverted customers? Let his teachers and classmates laugh at him for having a mother like me." Naked words smashed directly into her heart, pressing Vivian until she couldn't breathe. She didn't expect Jane to be so direct. Feeling Ethan's tremors, Vivian suddenly gained unknown strength. She took a deep breath. "Auntie, actually you don't have to do this. It's just you are afraid, you dare not escape the current comfort zone. Everything is hard at the beginning, won't it be fine after enduring it? I am relying on part-time work to pay tuition now. I am timid. My first job, I couldn't do anything well, but now I already have several part-time jobs and can feed myself." Jane's eyes moved slightly, mockery remaining. You make it sound easy for her to contact normal social circles. Was it easy to talk about? Because she was pretty, because of the dusty air she accumulated over so many years, whatever job she looked for, she was basically deceived by those smelly men. It wasn't that she hadn't tried. For no reason, Vivian felt Jane's gaze was cool enough to pierce the heart. She shivered unconsciously and took a step back. "Auntie, if it really doesn't work, I can be responsible for Ethan's tuition. If there are parent meetings or any activities, I will attend in the name of his sister." The words slipped out. Vivian didn't regret it either. Her parents didn't lack money. For her to be independent, they both opposed and felt sorry. Really taking on Ethan's schooling in the future for her was actually a small matter of asking her parents. Jane suddenly laughed wildly. The spent makeup shook off her aged skin. Vivian was stunned. Ethan, hiding behind Vivian, dared not move even more. He knew clearly. He chose the right person. Vivian would help him, someone like her, who had only seen warmth. How could she bear to watch him sink deep into the swamp? "What, should I adopt Ethan into your family too?" After laughing, Jane wiped away the broken tears at the corner of her eye, mocking. Hearing this suddenly, Vivian moved her lips, unable to speak. Adopt Ethan? From childhood, her family doted on her. She could have whatever she wanted. Probably this time asking for a brother, she could get her wish too. But the process might be a bit arduous. Seeing Vivian really considering it, a rage burned violently, burning away Jane's rationality completely. She slapped Vivian's face. Her voice and expression were severe. "Who do you think you are? Ethan is my son. What right do you have to love him more than I do?" Vivian had tender skin. Her right cheek instantly flushed red and swelled. "Mom," even Ethan watching the battle couldn't help crying out in a low voice. Jane shook her wrist, having no intention of regretting. Seeing Vivian stunned on the spot, she said coldly, "Ethan is my son. I can raise him, I don't need your fake kindness now. Please leave my home. What right do you have to love him more than I do? This sentence echoed in Vivian's ears. Surprisingly, she was thinking, is it love? She clearly pitied Ethan. Pitied Ethan facing almost the darkest side of this society at a young age. Pitied Ethan unable to enjoy normal paternal and maternal love. Pitied Ethan unable to go to school to enrich himself. Pitied Ethan imprisoned in this cramped rental, unable to see the future light. That's all. I told you to get out, did you hear? Jane waited a few seconds, lost patience, and grabbed Vivian's arm. Pain pulled Vivian back to reality. She grabbed the door frame, begging softly, Auntie, it's not like that. I don't want to snatch Ethan from you. I really feel you should let him go to school. He is smart. He will definitely learn well. When he grows up, when he stands out, he will definitely make you proud. Jane was unmoved, savagely bending her whitening fingers. Vivian clenched her teeth tightly, pain squeezing out broken tears. The pain, like fingers breaking, made her have thoughts of giving up. Reflexively, she looked at Ethan. In her misty vision, the despair in Ethan's eyes still stung her. Making such a fuss, probably Jane wouldn't give Ethan chances to contact strangers anymore. Either she succeeds, or he perishes. Ah, Vivian cried out in pain. Auntie, you're doing this now. Do you want Ethan to learn from you and be like you in the future? Cruel words wrapped in dripping blood distracted Jane, and the strength in her hands naturally loosened. Vivian took the opportunity to withdraw her hand. Ignoring the finger pain, she walked in front of Ethan, protecting him behind her. At that time, she didn't know, she got used to protecting him like this until she stopped breathing. Jane's eyes lost focus, her knees suddenly went soft, and she knelt on the ground. Ignoring that Vivian was still there, her son was there too, she wailed. Tortured by that man just now, she cried her throat raw, yet she still howled like this, as if all grievances were provoked out by Vivian's words. Vivian heard the heart-rending crying, feeling the sky collapse and earth crack, yet dared not step forward to comfort, only holding Ethan's hand tight. Finally, Jane cried, her voice hoarse, cried, her eyes red. Take him to school. Jane remained kneeling, struggling to tear at her throat. The suffering of the first half of her life, how could she bear for him to suffer it? Occasionally, when men had weird looks at Ethan, wasn't she afraid too? Just now, didn't she also not want Ethan to bring a girl home so young to mess around? She had the instinct of a mother, but she dared not face it. Vivian's appearance challenged her authority and completely shattered it at this moment. Did she have a choice? Before her son, cruelly say, I'd rather you use your body to please women or even men in the future than let you go to school. And the reason was simply she couldn't bear this student girl suddenly appearing loving him more than her. She couldn't do it. Hearing Jane's words, Vivian almost wept with joy. She excitedly hugged Ethan. Did you hear? Ethan muffled in her embrace, his voice thick. Heard it. Something expected for many years finally became reality. He surprisingly didn't have a surging reaction. Perhaps he couldn't bear seeing his mother collapse like this. Perhaps he couldn't calmly face the softness pressing against his face. I will cover Ethan's tuition. If it's not enough, please lend it to us first. Jane's voice was very light and emotionless. Any situation requiring finding a parent, you handle it. Since he wants to learn, let him learn well. A moment later, she seemed to talk to herself. I also hope he is happy, even if I never achieved it. Although Jane relented, Ethan going to school was still a big problem for Vivian. Ethan was 12. He had never been to school. Did he have to start from first grade or even kindergarten? How could Vivian bear Ethan facing those questions? Why are you going to school only now? Are you too stupid, so you kept repeating grades? Vivian chose and chose, deciding to set his starting point at 6th grade. It just happened Ethan was born in a small month. Entering the class, mostly he would be the same age. Determining which grade to conquer was merely the beginning. Although Ethan was smart, he hadn't studied. Entering 6th grade directly, feared he couldn't keep up. For Ethan's matter, Vivian had already spoken to her family. Not being stingy, she hired the best English and math tutors she knew for Ethan, and she taught him Chinese. Sean was a romantic art student. He cared about Vivian and would also come to teach Ethan singing and drawing. The coursework was heavy. Even Vivian watching the continuously spinning, Ethan worried for him. However, the one who didn't feel tired the least was precisely Ethan studying in darkness. This was the turning point of his life. He risked his life to grasp it. Ethan was eager to learn and clever. More than a month later, he could score 90 on the entrance exam for the selected school. Single subject exams, he approached full marks sheet by sheet. Vivian was very gratified. Big V, I feel studying isn't hard. Ethan organized the scrolls stacked on the small desk. Let me go to school now, I definitely can. Unknown when, a naive wish grew in his heart. He wanted to study quickly catch up to Vivian and Sean's footsteps. Vivian was the best sister to him, and Sean lived the dashing appearance he yearned for most. Looking at it now, your written test is probably no problem. Can you do the interview too? Vivian asked worriedly. Ethan patted his chest to guarantee, Big V, I can. That overflow of light and color in his eyes dazzled her nearly into fascination. Possessed by ghosts and gods, she nodded, subsequently feeling scared afterwards, nagging instructions like shattering thoughts. She knew, no matter how obedient and motivated Ethan behaved here, in his bones he was a stubborn child who hadn't faced the sun. Really asking him to sit obediently in class studying, being at peace with classmates was fine, but if conflicts really arose, she dared not think. He listened seriously, wishing he could memorize all the words she said. The day Ethan interviewed, Vivian took leave and Sean followed her. They guarded the principal's office door, occasionally making eye contact, yet daring not speak a word more. Vivian's first half of life was smooth. She never had such a nervous moment. For Ethan, in a trance, she realized from the moment she met Ethan, she couldn't control or even predict her life's direction. Seeing fine sweat seeping from her forehead, Sean grabbed her hand, unsurprisingly feeling her tremors. Sean knew how much Vivian paid for Ethan to go to school. At first, he didn't quite understand her behavior until he understood Ethan's life. Because he had comparable sympathy with her, he also did his utmost to guide this child onto the right path. Seaview City's educational environment was severe. Vivian begged many people, many times, to exchange for this opportunity. He really understood her. Without saying too many pretty words, Sean squeezed the back of her hand, silently telling her, I'm here. Rough texture rubbing came from the back of her hand. She turned her head, looking gratefully at Sean. She wanted to date. Between Samuel and Sean, she chose Sean, because Sean was romantic, brave, and moved her just right. Whether it was him teaching Ethan drawing, singing, or writing calligraphy, or his silent companionship now, it far exceeded her expectations of him. Suddenly, she had the feeling of passionate love. The elaborately carved wooden door finally opened. Vivian instantly pulled out her hand, asking urgently, the principal walking towards them, Principal Johnson, how is it? Can my child do it? Sean gazed at his instantly empty palm, stunned. Principal Johnson smiled kindly, patting Ethan's shoulder lightly. This child is very smart. But, Vivian interrupted in panic, but what? But entering our school, one must also study hard. Principal Johnson changed the subject. In an instant, it was like fireworks exploding in her chest. The long-awaited thing finally arrived. She didn't know how to react instead. She looked at Ethan with misty eyes, letting the fireworks in her heart cover crop after crop. So brilliantly charming, so wonderful beyond words. Sean, seeing Vivian excited, discernibly put his arm around Ethan's shoulder, thanking. Principal Johnson, really thank you. Rest assured, our Ethan won't let you down, won't let the school down. Ethan also nodded along, eyes flashing with eager light. Principal Johnson encouraged Ethan again, then looked at Vivian and Sean. Celebrate well tonight, come report tomorrow morning. I have to attend a teaching research activity later, so I won't host you. Vivian woke up from a dream, pressing Ethan's head to bow and thank Principal Johnson. That day, the sunshine was just right. Willows brushed the clear lake. Walking past the cobblestone path, it also carried the quiet fragrance of sweet osmanthus. The tiny youth remembered it all. Only after growing up, he suddenly forgot everything. Just entering school, Ethan buried his head in studies, afraid his grades wouldn't match Vivian's dedication. Naturally, he couldn't attend to having good relationships with classmates. Occasionally suffering some ridicule and exclusion, fortunately he grew up with red lips and white teeth, receiving quite a lot of care after all. Vivian and Sean's relationship was also stable. Helping her finish Ethan's enrollment matters, Sean met a major turning point in life. The art academy he yearned for extended an olive branch to him. The requirement was for him to paint works sufficient for exhibition. Drawing lots as a child, Sean grabbed a paintbrush. The family intended to cultivate him. He learned from childhood ink, gouache, oil, sketch. He learned them all, loving oil best. Over more than 10 years, he indeed had praised paintings, but to hold an exhibition like a famous painter was as hard as ascending to heaven. But he didn't want to give up. Not wanting Vivian to have unnecessary worries, he didn't tell Vivian his pressure. The reason for reducing dates being classes were full. Vivian dated to suppress the sprouts seemingly popping up in her heart. Sean was good enough. She certainly wouldn't force it, and also put her mind on studies and work. Although parents bore Ethan's tuition and even the rest of his life, she hoped she would take over this burden as soon as possible. Winter came very fast. Christmas Eve arrived quietly. Sean was cooped up in the studio, and Vivian also had to make money. The sound of the door opening rang. Brilliant light instantly shone into the dim studio. Sean instinctively dodged the light, then looked at the door, saying unhappily, "Who is it?" Light and shadow outlined his mentor Wang Jixing's face, kind and pleasant, full of the transparency and stability accumulated over years. "Teacher?" Sean lost his temper. Wang Jixing walked steadily to the easel, gaze sweeping over Sean's landscape painting. "Sean, rest when you should rest. You have no state recently. Painting hard isn't a good thing. You are my most spirited student. Don't doubt yourself, indeed." He hadn't completed a painting in a week of seclusion. Intermittently, the tones were messy. Even inferior to him a few years ago. Wang Jixing patted Sean's shoulder lightly. "Rest for a few days." "But," Sean gripped the paintbrush, fingernails turning white. "Sean, you have won many awards, now you count as a young painter, but I know your pursuit is far from this. Sean, as long as you walk the path of painting, you cannot force yourself like this. The most important thing for a painter is the work. Don't you listen to me anymore?" Sean finally put down the paintbrush, put on his coat, wrapped his scarf, and went to find Vivian. The cold wind was biting, yet crowds were surging, lights brilliant. Vivian stood by the street, hawking her packaged apples and bouquets. Soft halos lingered around her. Just as the wind came, she stopped soliciting customers, rubbed her hands and breathed out. Sean stood 2 meters away, just looking at her like this. In a trance, he remembered the first meeting. On the maple-covered campus, she suddenly broke into his canvas. Perhaps warming up, Vivian began to call out again. Sean's eyes filled with tenderness. Probably, he was destined to like her. Couldn't escape even if he tried. Stretched too tight recently, he almost forgot this meticulous and considerate girlfriend he caught with difficulty. Vivian Sterling. He cleared his throat, smiling like the bright sun. "Ah," she looked up abruptly, revealing sweet dimples after seeing him. "You came," Sean approached, opened his coat, and wrapped her tightly in his arms. "You're frozen like this, still not resting? Really a little money grubber." Wrapped in warmth, she smiled with curved brows and eyes. "Why did you come?" "Christmas Eve." Chin against her hair, he whispered, "I missed you." Heart soft and crisp, she rubbed against his chest. "Wait until I close the stall, I'll treat you to a big meal. Willing to part with money?" he teased. Vivian mumbled, "Willing, I'm not stingy." She just desperately made money. Slightly warmer, she pushed Sean away. "Let me sell a bit longer, I just broke even." He couldn't help the delicate girlfriend. Sean pinched the bridge of her nose, reddened by cold. "I'll help you sell." Vivian inexplicably breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Sean was ultimately not a calculating person. Sean was good-looking. Just standing, a pair of straight long legs could attract many gazes. After he hawked, many girls came to buy apples, and there were even girls buying flowers on the spot to give to him. Mission accomplished. Sean brushed away torn flower leaves with his hand. "Can you treat me to the big meal now?" Vivian felt touched, suddenly stood on tiptoe, and kissed his cheek lightly. Cold, but giving him endless warmth. The soft, fleeting touch stunned Sean. A moment later, he reacted, his large palm cupping the back of her head, aiming at her offending lips. Barely touching, Vivian's phone rang just right. Startled, she hurriedly pushed him away, blushing and saying sorry, answering the phone in panic. "Hello? Big V, it's me." "Little E," Vivian softened her voice. "What's wrong?" Ethan brought a crying tone. "Big V, Mom." Heart instantly raised to her throat, she asked urgently. "Ethan, what's wrong? Speak slowly, I'm here." Over there, Ethan was secretive and sobbing, simply couldn't speak clearly. Vivian almost blurted out, "Don't be afraid, I'm coming back right away." Only then did Ethan say okay softly. Hanging up the phone, she looked guiltily at Sean, whispering, "Sean, I'll treat you next time, okay?" Listening from the side, Sean suddenly felt he and Ethan knew different Vivians. He asked helplessly, "Have you decided already?" She jumped up, wanting to ask him. Unexpectedly, he avoided, and her lips brushed his earlobe. Barely standing steady, Vivian was a bit confused. "Sean, something happened at Little E's home. I must go." This was what Sean heard most when they dated. No matter how free and easy, he was a hot-blooded boy after all. She was his girlfriend. "Vivian." He looked deeply at her. "Count how many times we dated. How many times did you leave early because of Ethan? I'm really not petty. I know Ethan's situation very well. You want to help him go to school, I helped too. Just now, we haven't seen each other for a long time. We were kissing, we were about to go eat a big meal. Maybe I prepared a surprise to propose to you, but you, because of Ethan, want to end our date. I love you, but I can't love Ethan in passing." Vivian moved her lips but couldn't say anything. She never thought Sean would remember these. Only when he mentioned it this time did she realize she wasn't a competent girlfriend. "Next time she explained in panic and helplessness. Little E, he really, palm against her cheek, thumb rubbing gently, his brows were still gentle. "Vivian, don't panic. I just ask you, do you really love me?" "Love." Vivian took a deep breath. "Didn't I say, waiting for you to become a famous painter to support me?" Sean withdrew his hand. "Then go." If she loved him one day, Ethan would grow up. She wouldn't put Ethan in the first place anymore. Although she didn't admit it, Sean really felt it. She always felt something was wrong, and afraid of delaying too much time, hurriedly hugged Sean and rushed back to the alley. Bang, bang, bang. She just ran to Ethan's house, ignoring catching her breath, slapping the door heavily. Ethan, are you there?" She coughed a bit. "I'm here." No response. Afraid the noise was small, she increased the force. "Ethan, what happened to you? Cold weather." After a while, her palms were cold and numb before confirming no one was inside. No, not necessarily. Possibly Jane was hosting a guest, hiding and pretending not to hear. Also possibly, Ethan fainted. She shook her head repeatedly, murmuring, "Why implies terrifying the more I think. Ethan won't have an accident." Anxious fire attacking the heart, Vivian went around to the window, pondering how to pry it open. "Big V," Ethan observed in the dark for a long time, finally running out. "Little E, are you okay?" Vivian ran over, cupping his face, pinching here and there. "Did anyone hit you?" Ethan let her rub round and flat. "No." "Then why cry?" Vivian's thumb slid over his silkworm, not feeling tears, relaxing this time. Ethan threw himself into her arms, rubbing her chest, weaving a lie. "Today I wanted my mom to accompany me. She scolded me and went out. She went to accompany other men again. Aren't you paying my tuition? Why can't she accompany me?" Vivian felt heart sour, rubbing the back of his head. The short hair stubble poked her palm itchy. "Silly child, your mom doesn't say it. Actually, she cares about you very much. You going to school, she is definitely happy. She works harder to earn money now, wanting to support you by herself." She wouldn't think at all why Ethan on the phone cried until he couldn't speak clearly, yet Ethan in her arms could act spoiled to her with common small grievances. "Big V, I'm hungry. Make noodles for me, okay?" After sweeping away her warmth, he begged pitifully again. How would Vivian refuse? Led home by Vivian, he sat on the bed, obediently watching her enter the kitchen. Only when she closed the door did he reveal some gloom. Getting along for a long time, Ethan had completely treated Vivian as his private property. Before, he had no sustenance, relying on Jane. Then, Vivian appeared. She was gentle, soft-hearted, good-looking, valued him. His time was basically used for study and seeing Vivian. She set up a stall. He quietly followed behind her, also busy helping her pull business. Only, Sean appeared. He used to like Sean, wanting to live like Sean. But when he saw Sean kiss Vivian, imagining Vivian and Sean would do things his mom and those men would do, he didn't like Sean anymore. So he called, faked crying, tricked Vivian back. The worthy thing was, Vivian cared more about him. Even if his lie was full of holes, she didn't suspect, only comforting him, accompanying him. Right now, she was making noodles for him. She was his. Even if not now, definitely in the future. Definitely. Bringing out steaming noodles, Vivian bumped into Ethan's gloomy eyes. "Ethan, what's wrong? Still sad?" Ethan busily smiled at her, revealing neat teeth. "Big V, with you here, I'm not sad." Cleaning up a clean table surface, he asked expectantly and carefully. "Big V, you won't abandon me like my mom, right?" In a flash of lightning, she remembered Sean's question. Indeed, she could cherish Ethan, but couldn't demand Sean the same. In the future, when Ethan grew up, he definitely had to have his own life. Legally, after all, he was Jane's son. Their bond shouldn't be for life. Seeing his expectation, she gave birth to the thought of avoiding the light in his eyes for the first time. Finally, she looked straight at him. "I won't." She couldn't bear to refuse this child. He was too pitiful. Completely a life she hadn't touched, and happened to be him. Ethan smiled openly, using chopsticks to stir the tomato egg noodles. "Then I can eat noodles made by Big V forever." "Eat slowly, don't lie down." She sat opposite him, resting her chin looking at him. 6 years later, the painting exhibition themed Late Spring ended successfully. Sean suffered for 4 years, finally taking the first step towards his dream. Along the way, Vivian knew his difficulties best, inviting him to an expensive Western restaurant after it ended. "Are you going to treat me?" Sean's brows and eyes matured, but didn't reduce the artist's unrestrained romance. Vivian bumped his chest, smiling until brows curved. "Of course." Ethan studied hard, taking scholarships all the way through high school. Now for college tuition, she didn't need to worry. Jane worked desperately these past few years, saving quite a lot of money, forcing a sum on her, saying she owed her. Actually, she didn't really want Jane's money. Back then, she only hoped this child stuck in darkness could see light. But she hurt Jane's self-esteem as a mother and accepted this money. Now Ethan also clamored for independence, not wanting her money. She treated it as saving. Waiting for Ethan to marry later, she would give it to him as a red envelope. Plus, having found a job, she wasn't busy making money anymore. Perhaps due to high spirits, Sean would still tease her. Sean put his arm around her shoulder, smiling wantonly. Go eat the big meal you treat." Vivian spat. Who dares believe the individualized painter famous as a youth looks like this? He didn't refute, kissing her earlobe. Face instantly flushing red, she broke free from him, speeding up, walking far ahead of him. Curling his fingers, he strode to catch up with her. So many years, she was still that easily shy, really cute. Accompanied by light piano music, Sean comfortably watched her eat dessert spoon by spoon. After Vivian discovered, she knocked his plate with a small iron spoon, coquettishly saying, "What, is the one in my mouth tastier than the one in your plate?" "Vivian, marry me, okay?" He seemed not to hear her question, proposing suddenly. "What?" Simultaneously, the small iron spoon fell on the table with a clang. He held her lightly trembling hand, repeating seriously, "Vivian, marry me, okay?" She trembled her lips. "Is there anyone proposing like you?" Letting go of her, he hooked out the pocket watch worn on his neck, taking out the diamond ring hidden inside. "Vivian, when I wrote you the love letter, I bought this ring." Sean said, "At first, I just acted on impulse seeing beauty. But you have magic. The more I get along, the more I like. I believe I will never meet a better wife than you again. The exhibition is just my beginning. But I can't wait. I want to propose to you. I think I can already fulfill the promise of supporting you for a lifetime." Sean's family didn't lack money. From now on, he didn't lack money earned by himself. Watery light rose in the bottom of her eyes. "Sean, 6 years. The best age, they accompanied each other. Even if time face-to-face wasn't much, they gave each other a lot of comfort spiritually. She certainly liked him. She also believed she couldn't meet a better husband than him. "I don't deserve you." She wiped away the broken tears at the corner of her eye. "But I want to marry you." Sean was ecstatic, kissed the diamond ring, tremblingly put the ring on her, then grabbed her finger, kissing it again and again, happy like a child. Taking advantage of the just right moonlight, he walked her home and also had some small ideas. The art exhibition was successful. He could rest for a while. Halfway, Vivian suddenly slapped her head. I forgot. Little E is waiting for me to deliver a quilt." Sean didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "How old is Ethan? This small matter still troubles you," she said. "After he grows up, I won't be able to help him. Only small matters like this I can. Don't be angry. Look, for you, I forgot this stubble." Only this truly pleased Sean. Sean said, "Then I'll drive you." Vivian didn't refuse again. Okay, my fiancé. When rushing to school, it was already 10 o'clock at night. The guard knew Vivian's face well and didn't make much trouble letting her in, and Ethan, this stubborn log, was also still waiting for her. Big V, you came. Seeing Vivian holding the quilt from afar, Ethan welcomed happily. Vivian felt heavy, ran a few steps, threw the quilt on his bed, tucking the broken hair falling on her cheek. Say, you didn't urge me either, just waiting dryly like this, not afraid I forgot. Just as he wanted to say he didn't want to, he saw the diamond ring on her ring finger, his face instantly pulled down. Glimpsing his black face, she asked smilingly, "What?" Really angry. "You say you look so handsome, always keeping a straight face is such a pity." "Big V, your ring?" He squeezed a few words from between his teeth. Vivian instinctively stroked the ring. "Sean proposed to me. You're going to have an extra brother-in-law. You agreed." He gritted his teeth until gums felt pain. She was amused. "You child, did you study until silly? If I didn't agree, how would I tell you you're going to have an extra brother-in-law?" Consciousness swallowed by rising anger, Ethan, afraid of going crazy, pushed her out of the dorm while rationality remained and locked the door. He guarded for so many years, judged for so many years, planned for so many years. Not waiting for him to be strong enough, she still wanted to marry Sean. Why couldn't she wait for him feelings for her? Passing through Panic High School, he already completely confirmed. He wanted to marry her, he loved her. If not, he wouldn't dream of spring every time, with only her and him. If not, he wouldn't be so angry. Vivian outside the door was confused. "Ethan, what's wrong with you?" he replied stuffily. "I want to sleep." She had to leave. Seeing Sean, she still complained. "Ethan seems to have grown up, throwing tantrums at me at every turn." Sean comforted her. "Of course he grew up." After arriving home, Vivian pressed Sean's shoulder, giving him a lingering kiss goodbye. "You were busy for so long, rest well." She pecked his face again. "When you finish busy, we'll think properly about the marriage." Not knowing when Sean would be busy, she dared not delay much. Pinching her chin, he kissed her heavily again until her cheeks flushed red, panting low, saying, "You too, rest more. You are so thin, supplement more." She retorted, "Are you raising a pig?" Pinching her waist, he said, "Pigs are thinner than you." Being clingy for another few minutes, she was really sleepy before going upstairs. Conditions improved. She had moved out of that small alley. Entering the door, she ran to the bedroom, thinking about Sean's proposal for a while, thinking about Sean's kiss for a while. Suddenly, she thought of the suddenly changing face of Ethan. Puberty? Or, associating with some distant, repressed sentiments, she suddenly shivered. Impossible, bang, 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 urgent, strongly rhythmic knocking abruptly pulled back her spirit. Enduring discomfort, Vivian opened the door, unexpectedly seeing red-eyed Ethan. She had never seen Ethan like this, gloomy, angry, likely to explode any time. Even in his childhood, he wasn't this abnormal. "Little E," palm against her lower back before she could refuse, his scorching lips already printed on hers. He bit her lips, swallowed her cry for help, squeezed her against the back of the door with brute force, simultaneously closing the door with a clang. Young, fierce kiss, wrapped in overflowing enthusiasm and desire, bumping and colliding. Struggling was futile. Vivian let her hands drop dejectedly, unable to believe the boy offending her before her eyes was the one she watched grow up. Vivian didn't expect him to be so bold, crying out in pain. Ethan took the opportunity to demand more. This was a confused, fierce, intense kiss, different from Sean's tenderness. She clearly should be disgusted, yet she was dazed. Once evil thoughts breed, they get out of hand. Until her shoulder was cold and hot, she realized with a start Ethan was gnawing her shoulder, like a little wolf dog without a way. "Ethan Blackwood," she shouted hoarsely. "What's wrong with you? Big V, I forbid you to marry Sean." His breath exhaled on her collarbone, acting spoiled. "I can marry you too. Wait for me, okay?" Not surprising answer, yet fixed her. She would rather Ethan suffered love trauma, or didn't understand men and women affairs, using her as an experiment. Just like back then, but he bluntly pointed out those obscure sentiments. The boy she watched grow up, the boy she worked desperately to support studying, the boy she cherished as a brother, said he wanted to marry her. Whether because of possessiveness or what, this was abnormal. "Ethan," she protected her clothes. "Are you clear what you are doing?" "I know." He licked and kissed the back of her hand. She withdrew her hand. Ethan, I will call the police. He lightly bit her collarbone. Big V, you won't. Ethan, I will hate you. Suddenly hooking lips, smiling lightly, he kissed her chest devoutly. Big V, you love me. As if detecting clues of her softening, he wrapped his long arm, laying her down on the sofa. Under the dim light, he looked at Vivian frivolously and triumphantly. I am your life. Words striking the soul made her blush and zone out. Big V, don't marry him. I will love you. In this life, no one will love you more than me. She didn't drink alcohol, yet was drunk by the mellow wine brewing since 6 years ago. Just like this, she made a big mistake, looking like he forced her. But he guessed right, deep in the soul, maybe she desired him. Turns out she was such a fickle, shameful woman. When Ethan leaned heavily on her chest sleeping, she was sore and soft all over, didn't want to bathe, even lazy to move her arm. Listening to his light snoring, she couldn't sleep. Feeling at this moment, she felt absurd, yet mixed with finally expectation coming true. The coolness on the ring finger reminded her, a few hours ago, she just agreed to Sean's proposal. Why did she want to marry Sean, yet couldn't refuse Ethan? Maybe she always treated Sean as a shelter. She was really ridiculous. If Ethan hadn't pulled this stunt, perhaps she really would have married Sean, completely sealing away the sprout stifled early 6 years ago. But her little E came. Maybe her fate, from the moment he first rolled to her feet, was already destined. Vivian had random thoughts all night. Dawn broke, she walked to the bathroom with soft legs slowly. Wash away her sin. But she also knew clearly, couldn't wash it off. Wrapping the bathrobe well, she observed the haggard woman with deepening dark circles in the mirror, sneering in disgust. Splashing water to wash face randomly, she walked out of the bathroom, seeing Ethan sitting on the bed, looking at her blankly. He estimated having morning grumpiness, still dazed, not remembering what he did. Strictly speaking, the one wrong last night was her. Big V! Ethan rubbed swollen eyes. Hours of intimacy surged into his mind, annoyed, yet secretly delighted. She was his always, was she definitely wouldn't marry Sean anymore. Ethan, go back to school first, okay. She pretended to be relaxed, opened the wardrobe, rummaging for clothes. Ethan looked at her back, thinking of last night, arose desire again. Big V, you won't marry Sean anymore, right? He pulled the quilt to cover his stomach, face flushing red. Vivian hooked up pajamas, untied the bathrobe, back to Ethan starting to wear, replied inadvertently, not marrying. Graceful, suitable figure, waist not fully grasped, tight straight legs and hip line when bending. None didn't challenge Ethan's self-control. Although he understood, he didn't date casually like roommates. Actually, he was also waiting for her, so asking her to wait for him wasn't excessive, right? Big V, rest assured, I will be responsible. Stimulated by hot blood, he ignored covering up, rushing over to hug Vivian from behind. Sean is good. I will be better than him. You treated me well all these years. I will also treat you well in the future, until I die. Boys love words, rash but moving. She wasn't willing to believe, but she still believed. Then she lost. Prying open Ethan's arms, Vivian buttoned calmly. Ethan, be obedient, go to class. Afraid in heart, he hugged her waist tightly again. Then what about you? He made a mistake after all. Last night he was particularly angry, brain full of possessing Vivian, forbidding her to marry Sean. Sober now, he was a bit scared, also cowardly. I'll go clarify with Sean. Ethan keenly felt Vivian was a bit different, but he couldn't say it. Brain full of hugging her, accompanying her all day and night, until she forgot Sean, forgot all people and things hindering them together. I'll go clarify with Sean. This for him was equally a huge temptation. Finally, he let go, reluctant again, pleasingly kissed the corner of her mouth. Big V, I'll wait for you. Okay. She turned around, hands resting loosely on his neck, kissing his chin slowly and gently, gradually tracing his outline. Studio. In her expectation, Sean had messy chicken coop hair, squeezing paint, mixing colors. Sean, why aren't you resting? She bent over, snatching away the paintbrush and paint in his hand. Sean grabbed a handful of hair. Proposal successful, got inspiration, he smiled, tear mole seemed to have a soul, hooking her gently. Like 6 years ago, he held pink lilies, broke in to confess to her. That escape love, she was supposed to talk with Samuel, accidentally mixed with him. She only regretted, finally still had to let him down. Taking off the ring, she gently placed it in his palm. Sean, I can't marry you. Sean froze his smile. What did you say? She straightened up, retreating successively. Sean, I fell in love with someone else. I can't marry you, he refuted instinctively. Impossible, although we spent little time together in 6 years. I know you only have me. Suddenly, Sean's eyes widened. Vivian, you. No matter what you think. She retreated to the wall to have a bit of security. I don't deserve you anymore. Sean, I'm sorry, I wasted your 6 years. For 6 years, Vivian accompanied him, gave him inspiration, encouraged him when frustrated. When he was busy, wouldn't pester him, giving him enough space. Rather than lovers, better say she was his good teacher and helpful friend. But he truly loved her. He couldn't accept such a sudden turn, angrily kicking over the easel. He roared at her. Vivian, you are truly disgusting. You like Ethan 6 years ago. You were like this, you used me as your shield for sin. No wonder we dated. As long as Ethan found you, you would go all these years. You always put Ethan first. You are truly disgusting, disgusting. To the core, you think I really want to marry you. Stop dreaming, get out, you get out. The deeper the love, the more the resentment. He wished to use the most vicious words to hurt Vivian. Hearing him scold herself, Vivian felt better. Sean, I'm sorry. The real ones, the ones he maliciously speculated, she admitted them all. Get out, Sean didn't relieve hatred, kicking the chair heavily again. Vivian fled in panic. The studio was suffocating. Sean was originally a warm and beautiful existence, becoming a scar she dared not face in less than a minute. Vivian also dared not face Ethan, quit her job, sent a text, wait until you graduate, I will marry you to Ethan, then ran to deep mountains and old forests to explore. On one hand, Ethan was still young. She didn't want to ruin him. On the other hand, she didn't believe and dared not. Ethan saw Vivian's text, immediately called her. The cold female voice told him, the number you dialed is powered off. Simply skipping class, he went to Vivian's residence to find her. No one. Smashing the window to climb in, seeing the emptied wardrobe. Wait until you graduate, I will marry you. Looked like the answer he wanted, yet gave him endless emptiness. Also, indeed, he couldn't find Vivian. He ran to Sean's studio to get beaten, rummaged through Vivian's hometown, finally realizing he couldn't find her. Perhaps the only thing he could do was in Seaview City, graduate, become a more excellent man. Simultaneously humbly hoping she wouldn't meet the next Sean in these years. 2 years passed in a flash. Working no matter how many jobs, Vivian was actually a pampered young lady. Just going to the wild, she often couldn't eat, retched, high fever infection. Every time tossing half a life away, waiting until she was thin as a skeleton, finally adapting to the harsh survival environment. And now she could easily climb rocks to discover mysteries ignored by the team. She grew some flesh, complexion was much better too. Late night, River Beach. Vivian sat on a stone, watching team members grilling fish excitedly. She wasn't very hungry. The mushroom soup drank in the afternoon still worked. Rarely, the phone rang. This number she only told her parents. Taking it out to look, indeed it was her dad. Afraid something happened, she hurriedly answered. Dad. Vivi, Ethan's mother passed away. Vivian was stunned. Dad, what did you say? Ethan's mother passed away. This child is alone now, quite pitiful. You are busy with career is career, but don't forget it was you begging us to help Ethan back then. Vivi, Dad hopes you can come back. Okay. Clatter. The phone slipped, smashing on the cobblestone. Sitting dazed for a few seconds, fireworks wrapped in fish meat aroma, invading her nasal cavity thread by thread. Jane was still young. How could she pass away suddenly? Did some accident happen? Ethan. Is he okay? Not seen for 2 years, she dared not imagine Ethan's appearance. Even if Ethan acted resistant to Jane, she knew that was disappointment from loving but not getting. Even if Jane couldn't be a good mother, his mother was only Jane. Ethan would be very sad. Standing up abruptly, Vivian pulled the boss Mark Stone. Boss, I want to go back to Seaview City. Mark Stone picked a piece of fish meat. Eat. She turned her face away. Boss, I want to go back to Seaview City. Taste the fish meat. Mark Stone shook chopsticks, sending into Vivian's mouth before speaking. Okay. Fish meat burned the tongue. She didn't savor carefully, swallowing whole. Thank you, boss. Right foot stepping on a stone, Mark Stone reached out to pat her shoulder. Vivian, will you still come back? Instantly, the image of Ethan extremely grieving but enduring not crying flashed before her eyes. She couldn't say, "Come back." Mark Stone understood, patting her back. "Go back and be your young lady properly. Don't raise a body of illness here." Vivian wet her eyes. "Boss, thank you." Although Mark Stone tried his best to arrange for Vivian, she still missed Jane's funeral. When she rushed to Seaview City, she only saw Ethan kneeling in the mourning hall. Seeing Jane smiling brilliantly in the black and white photo, Vivian had mixed feelings, kneeling and bowing according to custom. Glimpsing Vivian from the corner of his eye, Ethan didn't react either. In huge grief, all joy was insignificant. "Little E, I came to accompany you." Vivian just knelt like this, hugging him into her arms. "Cry if uncomfortable. Don't hold it in." Ethan remained motionless, looking numbly at the photo, the mother passing away without warning. Feeling his stiffness, she tightened the embrace, voice choking. "Little E, don't be like this. I'm afraid. I came back, don't you miss me? I'm here." Feeling the wetness on the neck, Ethan turned his eyes, seeming only then to realize. Vivian came back. Vivian, whom he once wanted to possess, came back. Vivian, whose wedding he ruined, came back. The person he wanted to grow up to marry returned to his side. Vivian's embrace and tears pulled him back to the human world bit by bit. Slowly, he raised his hand, hesitated, retreated, finally hugged her back. "Big V. Ethan, it's me," she straightened up, cupping his face, teary-eyed, stroking his brows. "Ethan, don't be sad, I'm still here. I will accompany you. Everything will be fine." "Big V, will you really accompany me forever?" He encircled her waist, afraid this real warmth would disappear. Maybe these were all his hallucinations. "I will." Index finger sliding over his eyebrows, she choked. "Little E, you became better looking in these 2 years. Then will you marry me?" Without thinking, she agreed. Repressed for 6 years, escaping for 2 years, she finally chose this road without turning back. After Vivian jumped out the window, Ethan stood timidly half a meter away, suddenly thinking of their past. Unable to bear the overwhelming pain, he knelt on the ground. Without Vivian, he wouldn't have his current life. Without Vivian, he might have died under the fists and feet of one of his mother's men. Without Vivian, he wouldn't have had the chance to study, much less stand high and choose. Without Vivian, how would he have the opportunity to fail her? Knowing that in just 4 short years he would have a change of heart, he might as well have let her marry Sean. Sean was becoming more and more famous in the art world, yet he hadn't dated again. He certainly wouldn't dislike her for being old, wouldn't be seduced by young, pretty girls, wouldn't abandon her, wouldn't cause her death. After the huge impact, he finally remembered that he was the one who desperately begged her to marry him. It was absolutely not her tying him down. Even when he brought Lily home, she still left the inheritance to him. Even jumping out the window, she had to say she didn't regret loving him. Not to make him suffer for the rest of his life, but because it was her honest word. Ethan had never regretted insisting on marrying Vivian so much. Someone like him, who grew up in the dark mire, with deep-rooted bad nature that couldn't be washed clean no matter how long. How could he marry someone as warm and kind as Vivian? Ethan sat dryly until night fell, sporadic starlight hitting his face. Until the sky turned pale again, warm light falling on his shoulder. Footsteps coming and going in the corridor reminded him this was a hospital. The day before, Vivian jumped out the window and committed suicide in front of him. Dead. Lily was young and pretty, waist soft and mouth sweet. Was she really that important? Vivian's first half of life loving him, helping him, really couldn't compare to Lily. Ethan Blackwood. In a trance, he thought Vivian called him. Looking up, he saw Samuel. The light in his eyes faded. He lowered his head again, indulging in the past of him and Vivian as if humiliating himself. The most beautiful 6 years were him studying desperately for her and her making money desperately for him. Ethan, Vivian didn't die. Samuel's face was full of exhaustion. Looking up abruptly, he couldn't believe it. "What did you say?" Samuel loosened his tie. "Vivian was saved. You have to thank the hospital for emergency measures. Otherwise, calling the police would be too late." Standing up by brute force, Ethan rushed to Samuel, grabbing his arm. "You didn't lie to me?" Pulling away Ethan's hand, Samuel said, "You think I want to tell you. It's Vivian thinking of you." Although Vivian was saved, her stomach cancer couldn't wait for a miracle. He was afraid she would take things hard again, guarding her every step. Forced smiles when awake, calling Ethan's name when asleep, pain dying alive, also calling Ethan. Samuel decided to tell Ethan Vivian didn't die, she still loved you. The girl liked in youth finally belonged to someone else. He could participate in a segment of her life. It was already not bad. Facing Ethan calmly now, he had completely let go. Even the thought of replacing Ethan because Ethan treated Vivian badly was gone. Where? Red eyes, yet written full of expectation, just like the young Ethan. Samuel told the truth. Ethan rushed out of the ward. Panic and eager found the ward. Standing in front of the ward, he had no courage to open the door. Through the small glass window, he saw Vivian sitting on the bed, flipping through a magazine. Seeming to suddenly discover, Vivian was thin to a handful of bones, no flesh on face, lips bloodless too. Did he dare go in to face the bloody sin? Backing away successively, he sneered abruptly maybe he should be with Lily, then use the next Lily to hurt the current one. After seeing through himself, Ethan loathed living extremely. Eyes surging with complex emotions, he suddenly slammed open the door forward. Vivian heard the noise, looked up in shock, seeing the visitor was Ethan. Tenderness dyed the bottom of eyes. "Ethan," she closed the magazine, squeezing out a smile, "rest assured I will die soon. Go marry Lily if you want, anyone is fine. My illness is my own business, you don't need to feel guilty. I am no longer your wife and I was never your sister. I was never your sister." Ethan spent a day and night immersed in the grief of losing true love. 5 minutes knowing the news she was still alive, 30 seconds ago still afraid of homecoming, 4 seconds ago still thinking of suicide. All emotions didn't give him endless suffocation like this sentence. This sentence, like an invisible hand, firmly throttled his neck. He almost couldn't breathe. Vivian denied their past 12 years. Helping him, loving him, indulging him, treating him as life. Vivian denied their past 12 years. Even if he forgot first, he couldn't bear her denial. Wiping away tears, Ethan knelt heavily. "Big V, I don't want you to die. I was wrong, let me accompany you, okay? No matter useful or not, let's do surgery, okay? Let's not give up, okay?" Ethan was a strong person, almost never cried. Vivian was also surprised. He would expose emotions to this degree because of her. Probably he really knew he was wrong. Also possibly he was really guilty. She never wanted these. Withdrawing her hand forcefully, she said, "Ethan, are you this selfish? You know clearly I'm hopeless, still ask me to do surgery. Do you know how much it hurts? Do you know how uncomfortable it is for me to drag this body living one more day? What right do you have to call me Big V? You don't deserve. I'll think of a way." He stood up wiping tears, seemingly unable to see her coldness. "Big V, rest assured I will think of a way. I won't let you hurt, let you be uncomfortable." Finished speaking, he ran out of the ward as if escaping. He indeed lacked courage. Seemingly gentle, actually cutting him out of life. Vivian surprisingly made him hard to handle. Samuel came late, but heard most of their conversation. After Ethan left, he approached the ward. "Vivian, why bother?" Vivian reopened the magazine. "Do you think I divorced him, left him inheritance because he cheated? You are really hopeless." Samuel shook his head. She smiled mockingly. "Yesterday I failed to die, I will die soon." These were all her retributions. To satisfy the selfishness of being with Ethan, she hurt Sean, ravaged her body in deep mountains and old forests, secretly got the certificate with him, angering her dad to heart attack. Ethan didn't love her anymore. It was her retribution. Loving too much is harm. "I forbid you to die." Long-lost voice surprised her extremely. Calm, waveless heart rose ripples. Ethan broke into the study, threw every book he found, and finally kicked over the bookcase in anger. Not a single book could keep a person with late-stage stomach cancer alive. Vivian was destined to leave him, and he would never be redeemed. Why was he such a terrible person? Kneeling on the ground, he didn't know what to do. 12 years ago, he was ignored, and it was Vivian begging everywhere to let him go to school. 6 years ago, Vivian could have married Sean, and he forcefully destroyed it. 4 years ago, his mother passed away, and it was Vivian who let him find hope in life. 2 years ago, his father-in-law died on the operating table after a long illness, and soon after his mother-in-law was hit by a car in a trance and died. She didn't blame him, bearing the grief alone. Half a year ago, his business failed, and she encouraged him to start over. Afraid of hurting his self-esteem, she even hired someone to pretend to be an investor. A month ago, learning of late-stage stomach cancer, she wrote a will leaving the inheritance to him. And he cheated. The child she carried was aborted by the medicine he personally fed. She might have had hope of living, and he snuffed it out personally. The pampered young lady was forced by him to jump out the window to commit suicide. Turns out, completely losing Vivian, he was ultimately good for nothing. He thought just like this, tossing and turning thinking. Clearly she was alive, yet it made him more uncomfortable than death. Vivian's determination awakened the past he forgot, awakened his heavily pressed conscience, and, "Ethan, what's wrong with you?" Lily suddenly broke in aggressively. "Why didn't you answer my calls? Because I'm pregnant, you're tired of me? Can't stand loneliness, found someone else? If you continue like this, I'll abort the child." He looked up, saying seriously, "Lily, go abort the child." Lily couldn't quell her anger, picking up a dictionary and smashing it at his head. "Ethan, what do you mean?" Thud. Ethan didn't dodge. Blood instantly oozed from his forehead. "Lily, when I was trapped in debt, you ran away, right?" A burst of guilt. She clenched trembling hands. "What do you mean?" "I'm not settling accounts with you. You and I should both be clear, we were just playing." Lily couldn't smooth her breath, stroking her still flat abdomen. "Playing? Coaxing me to get pregnant? Why didn't you say playing? Playing, you took me to your house to show the frumpy housewife. Playing, you divorced the frumpy housewife for me." "Ethan, what exactly do you mean, frumpy housewife?" Vivian, indeed, wasn't as beautiful as when young, but not to the extent of a frumpy housewife. Why on earth did he suddenly loathe her so much? Was it her compassion and help from beginning to end that hurt his pitiful and fragile self-esteem? "Ethan, speak," seeing him dazed. Lily grabbed a book again, smashing it at his chest. Ethan took it solidly, grunting. "Lily, let's break up. Break-up fee, however much you want, I'll try to give you." His business wasn't doing well these years, mostly still Vivian helped. The money he could really give Lily wasn't much. Taking Vivian's money to give Lily, feared it would disgust her too. "First said playing, now wanna pay me off." Lily approached step by step, watching Ethan's indifferent appearance, the anger and heart burning more and more vigorously. She just raised her arm. "Ethan, you don't believe I love you? You can't allow me to be timid. Wasn't I willing to bear children for you?" Finally, she suppressed the anger, hands wanting to slap him began to unbutton her clothes. One button, 2, 3. Taking off the last piece of fabric, Lily knelt behind Ethan, wishing to contact his back seamlessly. Slender fingers stroked his waistline, unwilling to be lonely. "Ethan, I can. We be good, okay? I don't need you to marry me. You just have to love me. Ethan, can't I attract you anymore?" Grabbing her hand, he said, "Lily, do you really believe me?" "I believe." Lily broke free from him, pulling his belt by feeling. When a woman uses brute force, metal buckles can't stop her either. Ethan let her seduce randomly. "Lily, I was just attracted by your youth and beauty. Saying I love you was momentary freshness, me being blinded, wanting to escape my wife." "Ex-wife," Lily suddenly corrected him angrily. His mouth pulled a bitter arc. "Lily, I want to tell you, I will definitely change my heart. Once I loved Vivian deeper than loving you, but I still changed. I killed our child, almost killed her. Lily, you still won't give up like this." "I'm carrying your child, you let me give up." Lily stood up, roaring angrily. "You are truly scummy in a serious way." Ethan picked up the belt. "I will try to make it up to you." How could Lily bear being abandoned like this? Knocking away the belt in his hand, she threw herself directly, kissing his lips passionately. However, no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't pry open his mouth. When a man is ruthless, how can a woman win? He owed debt, she was scared and ran. There was still Vivian trying every way to make him recover. But her, once he said break up, she was angry enough to smoke, yet still had to use body to please him. The most hurtful thing was, he had no reaction. If love, impossible to not love in 2 or 3 days. So, he really never loved her. This realization made her angry, sad, helpless, yet crazily wanting to salvage something, prove something. She persistently pleased Ethan. However, Ethan, who seduced her, was obsessed with her, changed heart when he said so. He just stopped loving like this. When she tried all skills to move him, he suddenly said, "Lily, my mom was a prostitute." "Ah." She raised her eyes looking at him, eyes silky, hooking 10,000 styles. He was calm and peaceful. Just the kind you understand. "I watched men changing one after another beside her since childhood, all paid money." "You?" She finally reacted. Ethan revealed a clear smile. Even if you crazily want to prove I love you now, hearing my mom's profession, you will also despise me, right? Lily denied in panic. I didn't, pretending no fluctuation, she continued to lower her head. Vivian never despised me. Having today can say she spoiled me. She is a good teacher, but I am a bad student. In the process of Lily taking full initiative, he elaborated on the past recalled after thinking Vivian jumped out the window and died. Not only the 8 years they supported each other, attracted each other, finally walked together. Also the 4 years he gradually got lost, because of setbacks, because of repression, because of his own character flaws, and gradually lost. Not counting sudden awakening. He actually knew it all. Hurting so deep was him naively thinking, pretending not to know, breaking away from Vivian, would have another kind of free and easy life he never possessed. Are you sick? Lily finally couldn't bear the humiliation, slapping him viciously. Ethan didn't dodge as usual. I am sick. Vivian didn't hate him, but distanced him. This was completely using small blades, cutting his heart bit by bit. Too suffering. Lily hitting him, scolding him, instead made him feel better. Like punching cotton, Lily's fire couldn't go down either. She put on clothes with tears and snot, leaving this nightmare-like study angrily. Suddenly stopping in front of the garden, she looked back at the second-floor window, seeming to see the self-thought repenting Ethan looking like a dead person. Crying then laughing then crying, Lily clenched her fists. She wouldn't be resigned. She wanted to give birth to this child, wanted Ethan to love her, be responsible for the child's life. Sean coming to see her was unexpected for Vivian. Seeing Sean not seen for 6 years, Vivian's gaze staring at him unconsciously became gentle. He was still handsome. The tear mole at the corner of eye could still talk. Maybe because engaging in creation, living in the romantic painting world, he seemed never mature, still the unrestrained young man. How did you know I was sick? Vivian only recovered after a long time. You don't hate me anymore? Sean and Vivian kept a low profile, but dominated the campus most matched couple list for a long time in college. Samuel liking Vivian this fault took some time to fix, so he knew Sean. Samuel clearly felt Vivian's attitude towards Sean was different. No matter why she broke up with Sean and married Ethan back then, he could be sure Sean might cure Vivian. With a terrible ex-husband like Ethan in front, seeing any man, Samuel would feel he radiated light all over. Also feeling Vivian and Sean wanted to talk business, he found an excuse to return to the law firm. Hearing the subtle door-closing sound, Sean bent down, grabbing her falling broken hair, tucking behind her ear. Vivian, not seen for so many years, you are thin. She smiled bitterly. Sick like this, can I not be thin? Fingertips sliding over her cheekbones protruding from thinness, Sean whispered. Is it really because of illness? Sean, rushing over, presumably understood her failed marriage. Vivian didn't dodge, voice soft. Sean, you are still blaming me. Yes, blame you, blamed you for so many years. Bitter crossed Sean's eyes. How can there be someone like you, dating me for 6 years, all for not loving Ethan? Agreeing to my proposal, giving me huge hope, telling me early next day, you still decided to love Ethan. Even so, these 6 years I still missed you. I let you down. Vivian lowered her head. But Sean, you shouldn't miss me. Your life just started, should find someone to partner living. Sean sat on the chair beside the bed, pulling out the magazine under her hand, flipping a few pages casually, saying inadvertently, Rest assured I will find. Actually, I dated, pure, young, and pretty. Just I'm not a star, impossible to announce my relationship status. Like relieved of a heavy burden, she met his eyes. You won't lie to me. Of course, he rubbed the top of her head. Vivian, I take you abroad, okay? Ripples rose in bottom of eyes, she asked surprised. What? Hospitals here sentenced you to death. Rather than waiting here, better try going abroad with me. Sean persuaded sincerely. Actually, he just wanted to accompany Vivian to finish the remaining not much time. Going abroad? Vivian dragged the tone, falling into thought. She didn't want Ethan's sympathy. Dying in some unknown small town abroad might be a better choice. Although Sean was a romantic, unrestrained painter, she believed he would handle her funeral well. Sean grabbed her hand, wrapping in palm. Vivian, back then you owed me a wedding, now you can't kill my hope again. Okay, I promise you. Pausing slightly, she said, Sean, you also have to promise me. When I die, you bring me back to the country. I hope that day will never come. He choked. Feeling the heat of his palm, she suddenly had the bitterness of life not long, somewhat downcast, saying, "Also don't know if I can wait until going abroad. Don't know how long procedures take," but she could clearly see her life fire declining. "Student Vivian, I brought you a gift." Sean stood up abruptly, smiling, revealing neat white teeth. She leaned back on the pillow, gaze towards him gentle as water. "What is it?" Taking out a scroll from bag, he raised arms high, unfolding loosely. First entering Vivian's eyes was the pink background of varying depths. Just one glance, she could think what he drew. Sure enough, the scroll revealed true face. It was the background of lovers holding hands, left side matched with beautiful running script. "If possible, I want to walk through this long life with you." Sean's eyes flashed with light unchanged for years. "Student Vivian, ask if I have the honor to accompany you finishing the remaining time." Tears wet eyes. In misty scenery, she seemed to see the day she hesitated choosing which love letter. Clang, the boy holding a bunch of light pink Peruvian lilies, stumbled into the classroom, bumping into her life. Her ear rang with the boy's green voice. "Vivian, I like you, can you be with me?" She said yes, yet still failed. Probably her life was too lucky. Born a young lady with kind father and loving mother, wanting to date could meet Sean and Samuel. So, she would meet Ethan. Deciding to be with Ethan, father critically ill. Not long, she lost both parents, empty with unspendable inheritance. To avoid Ethan, she went to wilderness survival, exchanging a body of illness. Because loving Ethan too much, she couldn't manage marriage, finally losing even Ethan's love. Good thing at the end, Sean didn't blame her, willing to take her abroad to find hope. "Sean, take me away." Light and shadow overlapping, she saw 30-year-old Sean. Sean moved, putting painting on cabinet randomly, hugging her into arms at once. "Okay, Vivian, sorry. Back then I shouldn't have let go." Turning, he thought, she loved Ethan without turning back, Ethan likewise. He back then, how could he separate them? Going abroad procedures weren't hard, and Sean broke precedent asking connections, getting done in 3 days. Before leaving, Sean went to Vivian's villa. Flight was tomorrow. Sober Vivian was too normal. Only in sleep, she called only Ethan. Ethan was her knot, also his knot, so he wanted to come this trip. Elaborately carved big iron gate open, flowers and trees in courtyard lush, revealing unattended unrestraint. He changed shoes at entrance while seeing dust on shoe cabinet. Sure enough, more exquisite things hope for care. Otherwise too easy to gather dust. Ethan and Vivian, weren't they exquisite? Living room, kitchen, dining room, utility room, no one. Sean went to the second floor, seeing the study door wide open, walking straight over. Amidst randomly piled books, Ethan knelt, clothes wrinkled, hair messy, chin sprouted blue-black stubble. "Ethan Blackwood, 2 days ago I saw you, but I didn't tell Vivian." Sean bent down, picking up "A murder is announced at the door," putting back on shelf. Ethan seemed unable to hear, not moving at all. Yes, he wanted to accompany Vivian, but saw Sean hugging Vivian. If Sean could make Vivian happy, what use was his force? Vivian's most beautiful 12 years were left to him. Since he didn't know to cherish, what qualification to fight for, Sean organized books unhurriedly. "Because you always give up on her so easily. Your marriage time wasn't as long as you missed her. You made a scene like this. You just looked at me once, decided to quit great and mercifully." Ethan moved eyes. "She is willing to hug you, but not willing to hug me." Kicking books beside Ethan's knee, Sean grabbed Ethan's collar. "Then do you know why?" Ethan dead lifeless. "I might know, I might not know." A punch smashed on Ethan's cheekbone. Sean resented. "What are you pretending to be confused for, like 5 senses lost?" Ethan numbly bore Sean's punches and kicks in anger. This punch hit for Vivian. These few punches all hit for myself. Without Ethan, the start and process of his and Vivian's love would be purer. Without Ethan, his and Vivian's love wouldn't end. Without Ethan, he didn't need to self-deceivingly take late-stage stomach cancer, thin to out-of-shape Vivian abroad. Cough, Ethan suddenly vomited blood, splashing half a page of English-Chinese dictionary. These few days, Ethan didn't eat or drink, didn't sleep or rest, basically supported by Will. Now beaten by Sean to vomit blood, Ethan's body completely went on strike. Sean, afraid Ethan really died, shouldered his arm, dragging him out of villa, pushing onto car back seat. Bang, closing door, Sean sat in driver's seat, finding nearby hospital. Ethan's external injury wasn't serious, just severely malnourished. Nurse chattered endlessly when treating wound. You young people nowadays fight at every turn, still feel you have diamond indestructible body. How can you spoil your body like this? Until sticking needle for Ethan, instructing Sean some infusion precautions, she stopped. Sean smiled appropriately. Hard work. Waiting for Ward to restore silence, Sean looked at Ethan. Ethan, I won't hit you anymore. You and I are even. Actually, Sean, mixing in art circle, always encountered villains making things difficult deliberately. He learned to face calmly long ago. No matter how to deal, he could always maintain his style. Only Ethan couldn't, but seeing him head wrapped in gauze, eyes closed, infusing in a sorry state, Sean also found back past posture. If you want to let go, then don't regret. What do you mean? I want to take Vivian abroad, leaving tomorrow. I hope you can send her off. Even if I don't want to admit, fact is she can't let go of you. I hope she leaves without regret. How is it possible? Ethan sneered. Whose life is without regret? Sean said. Maybe not meeting you, Vivian could. Ethan had nothing to say, silence for a long time. You go. Ethan stared at the needle stuck in blood vessel. Maybe, I didn't cheat, she could still survive. Now whatever you do, I have no qualification to say anything. You finally sobered up once. Sean, too lazy to face Ethan again, paying medical fees then finding Vivian. In the empty ward, Ethan listened to tick-tock sound, listening to two crazy voices arguing. Go find her, keep her in your side. She is yours from beginning to end, don't let her be taken away by others. Hurt company, all only you can give. How old, how ugly she gets, only you can see she belongs only to you. Forget her, let her go abroad with Sean, live however long she can. You have money, you are free, not wanting Lily is just right, you can find different women so no lack of freshness. You can restart business. No more thoughts influencing you, you are free. Phone ring interrupted his thoughts, seeing caller ID Lily, sliding up screen to reject. Other party persistent. 10th time rejected, Lily sent a text. You don't answer, I let Vivian die now. Ethan lost measure, immediately calling Lily. Are you crazy? Lily strangled Vivian's neck, enjoying rooftop cool wind. I'm not crazy, not as crazy as you want Vivian not to die. You come find me. Where are you? The hospital you want to come but dare not come every day. Ethan gritted teeth. You wait for me, don't act recklessly. Not waiting for her answer, he pulled out needle, running out of ward in big strides. Lily smiled gloomily. I will wait for you, waiting for you to come. Hospital rooftop. Vivian couldn't bear torment, face pale, weak, saying, Lily, I will go abroad with Sean tomorrow, why bother? Lily impatient. Shut up, coughing a few times, Vivian said again, you are pregnant. Kidnapping, killing will be sentenced. You don't consider for yourself always, consider for child. Speaking, she remembered, under Lily and Ethan's persecution, she swallowed contraceptive pills, in severe pain, clearly feeling child passing. Her life, surprisingly, didn't leave a child. She let down parents, also let down herself. You better not talk, Lily threatened angrily. You think I don't know you want to go abroad? You think I don't know considering for child? But I'm not resigned, you clearly are a frumpy housewife dying of illness. I surprisingly lost to you, you met Ethan early, so what? You are just older than him? Vivian felt tighter pressure, almost breathless. Hearing her fatal panting, Lily annoyed extremely. Ethan hasn't come yet. You aren't allowed to die, suffocation on neck dispersed, but inside body still there, she breathed with difficulty. Lily, I really won't live long. If you still like Ethan, don't make it so ugly with him. You have his child after all, he won't ignore. He divorced me for you, now I'm dying, he is ex-husband, forced by ethics and morals, always has to be sad, right? Time can cure everything, after I die you accompany him. Can his heart not only have you? Lily completely moved, grip on her wrist loosened some. Just then, Ethan knocked open door lock, breaking into their vision. Lily, you are crazy, hearing Ethan's voice, she instinctively clasped Vivian's hands tightly, dragging her back forcefully. Ethan, don't come over otherwise I jump down with her. Have you acted crazy enough? Angry was angry, he still stopped steps. Lily, do you know how kidnapping, intentional injury are sentenced? Lily's eye sockets turned red. I know, I just want to make you unhappy even if I live decades less. I want Vivian to die, emotion too agitated. Lily's heel stepped empty, almost flipping down. Ethan watched with thrill, as if returning to seeing Vivian jump window. He knelt down excitedly. Lily, I was wrong, don't be angry. Walk 2 steps inside, I won't argue with you. Whatever you want, I satisfy you. Beg you, let Vivian live. Thump, sound of Ethan kneeling, set off stormy waves in Vivian's heart. Proud as Ethan, surprisingly knelt for her. Grown-up Ethan was arrogance after extreme inferiority. He dreaded others mentioning himself, disliked her pointing out his mistakes, even later unwilling to accept her help. She knew this wasn't good, but she preferred him living wantonly, self-centeredly like this. Also, don't return to the paranoid, inferior look of youth. This kneel, would it beat him back to original form? Lily, stimulated to madness, simply stood on edge. Ethan, since you want Vivian to live so much, then die for her as long as you jump down. I let Vivian go, we fulfill her together. Let her go abroad with true love Sean to live last good days. Ethan didn't think at all. You do what you say, Lily gritted teeth saying. Do what I say. She wasn't willing to admit Ethan's straightforwardness at this moment deeply pricked her heart. This second, only then did she deeply realize Ethan's like for her was how superficial. I jump from here, can I? Ethan stepped over railing, looking back asking Lily meters away. No, Lily and Vivian spoke in unison. Vivian too forceful, chest pulling throat, burning pain. Seeing Ethan freeze body, Vivian ignoring pain. Ethan, I forgive you, don't die, you live well, I beg you. Live well. Ethan turned body, northwest direction. Vivian, pinned by Lily, said she forgave him, she didn't want him to die. He could feel the pain of her speaking, but she still roared for him with life. He seemed to see Vivian afraid to death, yet negotiating with Jane for him to study. Vivian begging everywhere for him to go to good school. Vivian walking out of shadow of mother passing away for him, agreeing to marry him. Vivian clearly almost losing everything for him, still treating him desperately well. This Vivian finally forgiving him. Lily couldn't bear Ethan dying, yet unwilling to fulfill him and Vivian. He harmed her, so pathetic hate born from love after all. Lily took out prepared dagger, raising arm throwing. Dagger drew rainbow arc in air, finally, clang falling in front of Ethan. Ethan grabbed with long arm, picking up dagger. Lily, afraid me jumping building death too bloody, want me to commit suicide with dagger. Letting you die, too cheap for you. Lily, afraid Vivian ruined things, tightened her neck again, forbidding her to speak. When she seduced him in study, words he said to her, she heard mostly. Actually, Ethan carried guilt feeling, he wished to die for Vivian. She didn't want him to get relief, she wanted him same as her, struggling painfully in human world. Flicking off sheath, Ethan was calm, viewing death as home. What do you want me to do? Cripple your legs, Lily roared at him, simultaneously tightening Vivian's neck. No, Vivian couldn't speak, only shaking head desperately. But Ethan refused to receive Vivian's plea, only listening to Lily. He didn't hesitate, blade aimed at thigh, stabbing fiercely, more forceful, stabbing deeper. Following, he pulled out quickly. He grunted, enduring no more, kneeling straight on ground. He could even feel sound of blade rolling over flesh. Blood surged instantly like spring, soaking pants in few seconds. Wearing dark blue jeans, simply couldn't hide dark red blood stains. Separated far, vision blurred by crying too, Vivian still saw a patch of red on his thigh, tears unstoppable even more. Aftertaste of pain came. Ethan almost had no courage to give left leg a knife again. But Lily watched him few meters away, threatening him with Vivian's life. Also just now, he got Vivian's forgiveness, regardless sincere or not. He couldn't miss this last chance. Biting lower lip tightly, he endured severe pain, stabbing blood-stained blade into right leg again. Not as fast, accurate, ruthless as first time, yet still so deep. Slow, even more a torture. He clearly felt every second's pain, long like surviving a whole century. Relieving drilling pain pressing limbs and bones, he asked hoarsely, Lily, I did it. Can you let go of Vivian? Lily's eyes full of blood-red hate. One leg, one knife, how to prove you crippled. Not enough, far not enough. Ethan understood her meaning, beginning to stab randomly on legs. Jeans soaked by blood color simply couldn't see original color. Vivian couldn't bear such stimulation, vomiting mouthful of blood, fainting directly. Warm wetness on arm made Lily sick. Discovering Vivian fainted dead, panicked again. If Vivian really died in her hands, momentarily panicked, Lily let go of Vivian. Instantly, Vivian fell softly on ground. Ethan, pain blurred vision, simply didn't notice. And finally finding rooftop through surveillance, Sean only saw Ethan crazily stabbing legs with dagger and Vivian lying on rooftop edge, collar-stained blood. Lily already fled. How could Sean care? He rushed to her side kneeling, pillowing her head on thigh, trembling, probing her breath. Vivian, Sean's voice awakened Ethan, but he had no strength to stand up. Tight string loose, dagger clang landed, Ethan following fell on ground. Ethan's legs completely crippled. Vivian and Ethan, neither wanted to sue Lily. Sean had to give up calling police, just treating Ethan's disability as accident. Sunny day. Vivian supposed to go abroad with Sean, pushing wheelchair taking Ethan to sunbathe. Seeing Ethan and Vivian bury hatchet, and knowing Ethan crippled legs for Vivian, Sean bitter yet had to give up his humble hope. On Vivian this matter, he long accustomed to seeking but not getting. He still stayed in Seaview City, lying to himself preventing Ethan being jerk again. Clearly could confirm, Vivian wasting in hospital, simply couldn't wait until Ethan's leg wound scabbed, let alone becoming jerk. Seeing boy and girl flying kite on lawn, Vivian said, "Ethan, let me fly kite for you once more." Ethan shook head, mouth emphasizing, "No." Vivian seemed not to hear, pushing him to lawn on own accord, buying kite from little girl. Ethan, watch carefully separated by wind, her smile bright just like youth. How he hoped she had no pain, happy life. How he hoped he was forever that Ethan loving her. Ethan watched unblinkingly. She failed, she annoyed winding line, she succeeded, she childishly claiming credit to him. "Ethan, I'm tired." Vivian returned kite to little girl, walking softly to his side acting spoiled. Ethan said, "Big V, then you rest a bit." Kneeling beside wheelchair, Vivian pillowed head on his thigh, obediently saying, "I lie down for a while is fine, you won't hurt. Hurt also endure a bit, I only lie a while." Okay. Vivian never woke up again.